106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Welcome. It is April 24th. I hope my mic is on. I'm Gabe Tabe, your host. This is Double Impact. I'm here with my friend, the hilarious, the one and only Midnight Lover himself, Jericho Green. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing all right. And yes, you sound great.
You are losing weight. I can see it.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Thanks.
I hear a little edge in that. Good. Because you're getting up at like 6 and going walking. I heard that in your voice just now.
Mm-hmm. And every other day,
the first 15 seconds when that fucking iPhone alarm goes off and it's like time to get up, Jericho. How does it feel?
Well, first of all, I'm not an elitist. I have an Android.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine. I maintain. But when I wake up, yeah, man, fucking sucks. I want to ninja star my phone into the drywall. But I don't. I turn the alarm off like a civilized individual. And then I get up and I wash my face, I brush my teeth, I put on my clothes. By the time I get out of my bedroom, I'm good.
Right.
But yeah, that first few minutes is a bitch.
Now, being a military man, I bet you don't do what so many people do, like set 4 alarms. You set 1 and then you just get up, right?
Yeah, I used to do that when I was younger. But 1 alarm, that's it. Let's get this shit over with, you know?
I'll admit the truth. Not only do I love crunchy peanut butter,
ugh.
I do set 2 or 3 alarms.
Ugh.
In my defense, they're only spaced out by minutes, just, a few minutes. So,
I don't know which is worse.
Yeah. So, well, it's my crunchy peanut butter alarm. It's waking me up, reminding me to go and eat crunchy peanut butter.
Oh, man. Nobody needs to be reminded to do that shit.
Oh, so, yeah, we have a guest tonight, Matthew Marsden. He's running fashionably late. I think it's because he's British and he's posh or something like that. So,
he's trying to find the right colored ascot.
Right. Oh, yes, of course. He'll be in soon. And we're going to confront, like we always talk about food on the channel. Let's confront him about British food. I want to ask him all kinds of questions. Food is a very popular topic around here.
Yeah, I want to know if he's participating in the food Olympics. And,
what is the food
country?
Olympics?
Well, I'm just saying, if each country has to bring their best culinarily, what's he bringing to? What British dishes is he going to put, up against the other heavy hitters from around the world? We have American food, Asian, Italian, blah blah blah. So it seems like all the other countries. I mean, you start getting into the third world country. Usually their food sucks. But if we're going for first, maybe second world country food Olympics, what dishes are going to represent the UK? Because, you know, we all know the shepherd's pie and the bangers and mash and the,
Right.
I don't get the beans on toast breakfast thing. That boggles my mind, or the eel and stuff like that. But are we just ignorant to their cuisine? Are there some bangers up the sleeve? No pun intended. Are there any bangers up the sleeve of, you know, British people that we just, oh, you guys, you know, you guys haven't heard of this, or you need to try that? Does that exist, or has Great Britain shown their hand?
Well, I put in the poll of polls, the poll I never return to usually throughout the show, for the American audience, since we don't know anything about England and stuff, really, you know, we all stay here stateside. I just put up stuff I'd heard of. Most British food: crumpets, mushy peas, English breakfast with the mushrooms, tomatoes, blood sausage, beans on toast, sunny side egg, bacon, and sausage. That sounds like a terrible breakfast, except for the bacon, or the bacon, sausage, and eggs. What the hell? Or eel. Eel sounds disgusting. So.
And let's flip that egg over for a minute or two. Sunny side, no thanks. You can keep
I liked
the
sunny side
rooster
as a
jizz.
child. I liked it as a child, and I got grossed out from it by the time I got to middle school, high school. I realized it was pretty gross.
Yeah, same here. Sunny side up eggs are fucking gross.
Fish and chips is the most, but it wouldn't let me add another one, and I wanted to add weird ones.
But yeah, fish and chips. Yeah, we know about those, but they got anything else? Are they hiding, you know, some heaters from us?
Right.
And,
I want to know
why does British food suck so bad?
Yeah. Yeah, what's up with that?
Marsden? I mean, I know Indian food is big there now, but that's because, you know, they just, you know, got a bunch of Indians in recent history, I guess. But yeah, Great Britain's not known as a culinary destination, as far as I know.
I haven't been to Britain yet. I will go sooner or later, but I went to a British pub in San Diego downtown, the Princess Pub, and I don't want to be mean, you know, it's a family-owned business probably and all that. I went once. That's my review. I went once about 15 years ago. That's my entire review of the Princess Pub. So
there, where I used to live in Monterey, there's a place called the London Bridge, and it's owned and run by actual British people. So, you know, they know what it's supposed to taste like and stuff like that. And it's cool, but they also have some American cuisine too. It's not just straight, you know, bangers and mash and shit like that. Even though they have it, they do have some American food to kind of subsidize the menu. But again, I'm not clamoring to get my mouth on some British fare.
In defense of the Princess Pub here in San Diego, I don't like seafood, everyone knows, and I got the fish and chips out of curiosity. They may have been good, but I hate seafood. And then we also ordered a plate of nachos. I feel like that's not a British specialty. So maybe I didn't order right at the Princess Pub. Who knows? Who can really say, governor?
But fish and chips, that should be, you know, that should be good.
Yeah, but I don't like really seafood, so maybe it was good. And I'm just like, I don't like seafood. So
the piece of fried fish? Come on, Gabe. You need to get a mouth transplant. You need to have them take the inside of a cadaver's mouth and trade it out with yours.
No. Seafood is stinky and gross, and you like being gross. That's why you people like seafood. And I did say
you people.
Oh yeah.
You people.
Hold on. I'm getting a phone call. Let me answer this real quick. Hi, Abe. You're on the air live on YouTube with me and Jericho. It's my brother. It's my brother Abraham.
Weird. Don't say anything weird, man.
I was going to talk to you about some pretty heavy stuff.
Okay. I'll have to call you after the show tomorrow. Say hi to the chat, Abe.
Hey, guys.
All right.
Having a good time. Enjoy the show. I'll catch you later, bro.
All right.
He sounds just like you.
I'm sorry. Say it again, Jericho.
He sounds just like you.
Does he?
Yeah. It sounds like you're talking to yourself.
Maybe I was.
Hey.
Maybe that was a really lame dad joke trick.
So lame. So
dude, I busted out oh, by the way, I'm bearing the lead here. Jericho, you're losing weight. I've already lost a lot. I'm almost down 40 pounds. But I made another huge life change after a year and a half of trying to be a dirty hippie with long curly hair. Went back to the buzz, baby. It's been a
Buzz
year
it.
and a half since I have shorn my locks. A year and
Get
a half.
buzzed.
You know? So yeah, watch out, ladies. You know?
Control yourself.
Yeah. Easy.
Get a towel to
Easy,
sit on, will
easy
you?
girls.
Will you? Oh, looks
Yeah.
good, man. You don't have a weird shaped head, so that's good.
Right. I feel bad for guys that shave their heads and then they got a bizarre head. So, you know.
Like, what's wrong with your head, dude? Your head looks fucked up. What happened? Who did that?
All right. Oh, Matthew just texted me. He said, putting the kids to bed. See you in a bit, love. I added the love part. But,
See you in a bit, love.
yeah. And then he did some of that Cockney rhyming scheme to me. You know?
like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins.
Gabe, you totally rocked that high and tight. You could pass for a drill instructor. What is your major malfunction, Jericho Green? There you go.
It brings back memories. But the Marines, their drill instructors have a certain way of talking. They have a certain lingo, vernacular, if you will. It's very throatal, if that makes sense. Like, it's like that. Like the Marines have their own.
Yeah, where it sounds like a mutant version of English. That's right.
Yeah, like when they march, it's elf, like that. They have their own language.
What the hell, Gabe? You're doing this? No, I hadn't cut my hair in a year and a half, and you saw when it would stick out of my hat. I have curly fries, like that's how my hair is, giant curls like that. And I would wake up and it was just a disaster and a mess. And I'm in the bathroom combing my hair. And I'm not that guy, man. Just like, I don't want to be doing that every day. So
you don't want to be a metrosexual?
No, I was, you know what? My wife, you know when I knew it was time to cut my hair? Like 2-3 weeks ago, it was such a mess. She gave me a hair tie and told me where they were in the bathroom.
Oh, no.
And I put a hair tie in so I could get some work done because I had hair in my eyes. And I'm like, there's a hair tie in my truck right now. And it's mine, not my wife's. So,
it's around
I shaved my head. I had to go.
Is it hanging around the gear shift? That's what my wife does in her car. Her hair ties are all around the gear.
I saw it not a TikTok. I don't watch that shit. But it was like an Instagram reel or whatever of a dude on a construction site. He said, just for fun, I buy hair ties, like women's, like the colored ones. He's on, I throw them in my buddy's trucks.
Oh, it's fucked.
What a bastard.
That is fuck. Explain that one. So right. I love the ones where they have the rookies hold the bag of cement over their head, and then they take a box cutter and cut it, and it just fucking falls all over. Hey, make hazing great again, can we?
Right. Let's see here. More comments. So yeah, welcome in everybody. I see all the great friends are here. We got John Rogers and Think About What You Think About. New father, newly married. Michael Coulter, Mark's Music Obsession, The Horror of One, Johnny Truth. He doesn't believe in fake news. Let's see who else is here. We saw Kara. We saw None the Miser. Right. Cody the Kid. Who was that guy? He was like he wasn't Indiana Jones, but he was like Montana Jackson or something. I love that guy's name in the chat. I haven't seen him in a few weeks. All kinds of people here. Tony, Kara, thank you everyone for coming in. It's going to be a fun night. Matthew just messaged me. He will be a little late, but he's going to be here. But yeah, we're having
Toddy.
Right. And we're going to chastise him. We're going to chase him around and make him tell us what the hell's going on with British food, because we don't understand.
Yeah, what the
we don't understand. Mushy peas. We don't.
And I'm hoping that he puts our minds at ease.
Right.
That okay, you guys got your shit together. It's just that we don't know. I don't mind not knowing.
Oh, Jericho Green is near the Bay Area. Yeet. And he's a fan of the 49ers football, a pro-American football team. Yeah. And Diesel, who loves to rag on Jericho, says the 49ers, breaking news, inside scoop from Diesel, who always has the insider NFL news. 49ers are drafting Dylan Mulvaney, #1 pick tomorrow. Is this true, Jericho Green? And are you excited that is Dylan Mulvaney lining up at tight end or wide receiver?
Well, he's definitely a wide receiver. And that's right. Diesel is up on all the Dylan Mulvaney inside scoops. He knows all things Dylan. But here's the problem with that, Diesel. The 49ers are a great team, so they won't be picking in the first round tomorrow unless they trade up. The first round is for the shitty teams, like that shit stain in the desert, the Las Vegas Raiders. And I want to remind you,
they got a great stadium though there in Vegas. It's gorgeous.
Cool, but it's filled with dog shit. So I want to remind you that when I was in Vegas, what was it, last week, Gabe?
We were there 2 weeks ago, chilling. Yeah.
So I want to remind you that when I drove past said stadium, said bowl of shit, that I did give it So there we go.
The one finger salute. Yes, sir.
That's right.
The Denver
even though the Raiders could fit all the fingers, I only gave them one.
You didn't give them the bonus finger?
No. Even though there'd be plenty of room, I only gave them.
Oh boy. The Broncos are drafting. I'm gonna say JJ McCarthy, quarterback from Michigan. That's what I'm gonna say. Kara's never been to an NFL game. Sorry.
You're missing out, girl.
It's fun.
It's a great experience.
It's fun. Yeah, it is.
It's expensive as shit, but it's fun.
Yeah. I've only been to about less than 10. I don't know. In my life, like less than 10 NFL games. So let's see. You guys had a chance to win in our stadium. What happened, 49er fan Jericho?
Hey, Diesel, if you guys aren't winning in your stadium, how are you going to question my team about winning?
Oh, see, he just clapped back on you, Diesel.
Sweep around your own back door before you try to sweep around mine there, Diesel.
Okay.
Raiders,
yeah. So when Matthew comes in, I want to talk to him a little bit about like Black Hawk Down and Rambo, just like action and stuff like that. And he's got a new movie coming out soon called Protocol 7. So we're going to find out about Protocol 7. It's going to be a lot of fun. But Matthew said he was tucking the kids in, so he'll be here soon. He does have like 8 or 9 kids, so that tuck
takes a
while. You know,
it takes a minute.
You ever see that show from the 70s, The Waltons? It was like a depression.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, good night, John Boy. Good night, Mary Sue. Good night, Bobby Joe. And it was like, good night forever because there was these Waltons.
Good night, father. Good night, Papa. Good night, Papa. Yeah, that was always on in the background in the morning, getting ready for school because we had TBS, the Superstation. So the Waltons were on usually, and then after that, my dad would turn it to like Perry Mason. My dad was into the Perry Mason. What was it? McMillan and Wife, Quincy, shit like that. That's all the kind of stuff he watched.
Diesel says, I remember Matthew in the movie about the Marines in Afghanistan. That is called Black Hawk Down, directed by the amazing Ridley Scott, co-starring Obi-Wan Kenobi and Eric Bana, the first Incredible Hulk, and the kid with the squinty Josh Hartnett. He was very popular at the turn of the century, you know. Yeah. Those were some of the major
stars. It was in Somalia.
Yeah, it was Somalia, 1993. The Black Hawk helicopter goes down in Mogadishu, right? And then they have to fight their way out of there.
Not to be confused with the Mogadishu in Michigan, but the actual Mogadishu.
Goodness.
It was a great movie. And you just feel, who else was in it? What's his name? Damn it. Crazy guy. He was in Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill.
Oh, Matt. What is his name? I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name. Michael Madsen.
Yeah, he was in it too.
Yeah, because we have Matthew Marsden and then Michael Madsen. That's a hard one. That's tricky to deal with.
But yeah, he was great in that movie. And you just feel for those troops being pinned down like that. It couldn't have gotten worse. You talk about a hornet's nest.
Right.
Couldn't have gotten worse. But fortunately, spoiler alert, they finally get their reinforcements and they help them out. But
I think it holds up. It's a great looking movie.
Yeah.
And it had that one character actor guy that's in every freaking movie. He was like the bank manager, mafia liaison in the Dark Knight movie, you know, or the one with the Joker. And I saw him when I was going through these photos earlier. What the hell's his name? I can't think of his name, but he's in every freaking movie, that guy. But if you haven't seen Black Hawk Down, go check it out because what's your problem? It's a great movie. It's Ridley Scott, guys. He usually, there's Eric Bana. He was the first Hulk like in 2003 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like that Hulk movie. I thought it was just okay.
No, it was pretty bad. The second one was okay.
Where do you come down on superhero movies? I don't like them. As a comic book creator myself, I actually don't like superhero movies.
Tom Sizemore. That's what it was.
Tom Sizemore. Yeah, that guy was in everything in the late 90s and all that.
I think as long as it's done as close to the comic book that it originates from, it's good.
Right.
But when it gets too Hollywood and gets too far away from the story, then I'm like, fuck that. And I also think things that are, if they like come from a graphic novel, but then you water it down to like PG-13 and make a movie, I can't stand that shit. But if it's done right, hey, I'm down.
Yeah, didn't they do that in the last like 10 years or so? They make a few Aliens and Predators movies, but they make them PG-13 so they can sell more tickets. But then it loses all the edge of the space horror movie that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that shit was garbage. Yeah, they did Alien versus Predator, both rated R movies. Both, I'm pretty sure Alien was, one of them was almost rated NC-17 for violence. And then
I think
put them together.
One. Yeah, they had to cut things out of the second one, I believe, that were too gruesome or something.
Yeah, and you put them together and you make a PG-13. I was like, fuck that.
There's a movie that I like that is awful. It's a space horror movie. I would never review it on this channel because, it's not my brand. But Event Horizon. It is nasty scary, and it's a sci-fi movie. It's crazy, that movie. Alien versus Barbie would be cool. That might be something.
Yeah, I hope Barbie would be the one that gets killed in that movie. That movie sucked anus.
Let's see. Okay. Michael Coulter says his grandfather's from Kansas, but he's from Atchison, which is, by the way, the most haunted city in America. How strange.
How much credence can you lend to haunted? Because you always see, they got the show Ghost Hunters and all this shit. Get out. Like they have these audio recordings, but is it really that? And I lived in a house, my house growing up, there were, I think, 4 people who died in my house, and I never heard anything or saw anything.
I told my kids this: if ghosts and monsters were real, you would have seen it on the news. A monster would have come out of a closet and eaten someone by now. It would have literally happened. So come on, it's not real. So I remember watching Nickelodeon when I was like 11 or 12 years old. And I don't remember what it was, but there was just a quick, it was a comedy bit. It was played for laughs, but it was like a burnt skeleton with like burnt meat all over him and these piercing like eyes. And they had his jaw like move and say something funny during some other show. And it was the middle of July or August. I'd always travel from San Diego back to Colorado in the summer to visit my dad and my grandparents and all that. So it's like 100 degrees in August or late July. And I'm laying in bed just like, I am so thirsty and I'm sweating. And my grandparents didn't have air conditioning and I want to get a drink so badly. And literally the room me and my brother would sleep in when we'd visit in the summer was next to the bathroom. So I could get up and get a cup of water from the bathroom or something. And all I could think of was that burnt skeleton guy talking and laughing. And I just couldn't get out of the bed to get the water. I couldn't do it. It was terrible.
Couldn't do it.
No, I just sat there just sweating and licking my lips and I just see his eyes and he's like some stupid shit like that. Oh, it was the worst.
Dude, fear as a kid is paralyzing. Paralyzing.
Did you ever think there was a wolf man in the closet or anything like that? Or
yeah, there were many a times that I would, and it was usually after I stayed up too late watching a scary movie that I shouldn't have been watching. And I would run and jump from my doorway all the way to my bed because I just knew that something was going to grab my ankles or something under the bed. But here's a trick. If you guys are still afraid of the dark or you think there are monsters in your room, if you get in your bed and pull your covers up around your face,
they can't go in it.
You're good.
Yeah.
Because that's all I would do.
And
just be scared as shit until I fell asleep. Yeah, man, this shit's real. My son, he's scared of the dark. He's only 8. But yeah, he's still scared of the dark.
Did you ever be at someone's house or maybe yours had a basement and you got to turn off the lights and then run up the stairs because it's now dark? The Wolfman could be down there,
No, I know no basements. In California, it's hard to come by a basement.
Right.
Because we don't have shitty weather. But definitely my bedroom door would be open and just staring into the dark hallway, thinking something's going to come out there. And so I grew up in a rural area. So on full moons, I would open my window. Or open my curtains. I don't know why I would do this to scare myself. But if I looked up to the left, there was a forest, and then there was a space in the trees. So you would see the ridge line basically, and then a space. And I would always imagine the silhouette of a werewolf standing there or some shit. Just fucking scaring myself.
That reminds me of Coast to Coast AM, the middle of the night crazy
With
lunatic
George
show.
Norrie.
Yeah, it's on. It's like the most broadcast show in America, and it's on from like 11 to 3 in the morning. And all it is taking calls from people who have been abducted by aliens or met a vampire or a Dracula,
Yep.
or traveled time, or their boss at work is actually a robot working for a conspiracy. It's people with some pretty fantastical stories. And I heard two great ones I've told before, but I'll tell them again because I love them. One guy was from Tennessee visiting California, and he said he was out somewhere driving late at night, and he saw on a ridge a guy running. And when his lights hit the guy was going over a ridge. He was driving, there was a ridge next to the road. And as the guy crested the ridge and the moonlight or something lit this guy up, he was a wolf man, but he had torn blue jeans on. And he said that he was shocked, and he didn't call him a werewolf. He said he was shocked that they had dog men, is what he called them, that they had dog men in California, because I know we have them in Tennessee, but I didn't think they had them all the way out here.
They don't migrate. They usually don't pass the Mississippi River.
So then he was calling into the show to talk to this guy who'd written a few books about dog men and was the foremost expert. I love Coast to Coast AM. It is one of the greatest things in the world to listen to.
It's beautiful, man. If you've ever thought to yourself, I want to listen to people, to the Walmart crowd, talk late at night. Like, you know what I mean when you say Walmart crowd. I'm not talking those civilized people who have to go in there sometimes. You know what I mean.
I go to Walmart about 2-3 times a year just because I have to. I was there 3 days ago. I haven't been there in like a year. I went there to get chicken wire for the fence for my wife's chicken. She has chickens in the backyard. We eat farm fresh eggs, but we need some chicken wire because we're expanding their territory in the backyard. And I go into the Walmart and I feel exactly what you're saying. I'm like, oh, golly.
Them.
I don't want to be here. Ugh.
If you ever want to talk to them on the phone after midnight, Coast to Coast is your jam.
Right.
And what makes it so crazy is the conviction. These people believe that shit. They believe that I saw that shit. They believe that they got probed or whatever. And it is fucking amazing.
He disguised himself as my buddy Daryl, then probed me in the anus.
I told him, man, only 2 fingers. That son bitch threw 3 in there.
The other Coast to Coast AM story that I heard that I absolutely love was a trucker called in, and he was in his truck driving while he was talking. And he said that they had an alien expert as the guest on the show, and he was calling in because he wanted advice on what may have happened to him. He said one night he was driving, and then he saw a white flash, and he woke up, and he was 2 miles down the road. So he was abducted and then teleported 2 miles down the road. I posit that he fell asleep and got lucky. It was a straight road for 2 miles.
Yeah.
That's what
happened to us all. What is that? There has to be a name for that because it's something we've all experienced. Maybe it's just daydreaming. Maybe that is the word for it. But we've all been driving and you zone out and then you come back and like, what the? Like, obviously your eyeballs were working because you didn't crash into anything. But that shit is crazy.
Yeah, it is weird when you pull into the driveway. You're like, how did I get home just now?
Yeah.
I mean,
transported.
Right. It could have been an alien abduction with a little probing on the side if you're nice.
Yeah, but I don't remember the probing.
Diesel for $5, and this is $5 from the Inland Empire over there, Moreno Valley, San Bernardino. It's California Tucky out there, you know. So 5 California Tucky dollars. Thank you both for being true Americans and for the awesome, he meant to say, double impact shows. I'm not saying go Raiders.
Hell no.
You know, I'm not going to say it sincerely. I don't care what you pay, but I'll say Diesel said go Raiders. So there you go. He's trying to pay me to say go Raiders. How dare you? How dare you? And here you go. Thank you, friend. You get one of these.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty.
You throw those dollars on the stage and get yourself a nice booty shake.
Hey, and Diesel spelled the word double just like a Raider fan would spell it.
None the Miser is he feels like he's in a safe space that he can share with the room. He'd bang a lady werewolf. I feel like you already have, None the Miser. I feel like you may have already done that. It's just a little soft confession.
If she was more lady than werewolf, I mean, any man would think about it.
Go Colts. I will not say that with enthusiasm. Go Colts.
I mean, but the Colts, like, as a Niner fan, we never played the Colts. Yeah, okay. Colts.
You better say it. So those are my 2 favorite Coast to Coast AM stories: the teleporting truck and the dog man of Tennessee in California. Do you have any favorite extraterrestrial thing? Or what was the weirdest thing you heard from another kid growing up? I told you about the kid on the bus that told me there was a code on the old 1980s Nintendo to get the Playboy channel, like up, A, B, selects. Like if you win on your Nintendo and you did all this stuff, you get the Playboy channel. I'm here to tell you that's not true.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
I was like 10. Of course you believe it. Like you don't know.
Oh yeah.
You don't really know how computers work.
You believe all that shit. I remember, of course, I was just telling my son about this the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, in the grocery store. We were standing there in line, and sometimes the lines will go down the aisle because they don't know how to open all the fucking registers. And so there was Bloody Mary mix. And he was like, Dad, isn't there something where you say Bloody Mary in the mirror? I was like, yeah, if you say it 3 times, she'll appear in the mirror. And I remember believing that so much as a little kid. Those urban legends,
right?
Believing Bloody Mary was going to appear, and she never fucking did.
Those are the national ones. Those are the global national ones that everybody knows. Were there local ones where you lived, or a creepy old man in your neighborhood?
Oh yeah, it was Old Stage Road for me.
What?
Old Stage Road.
Oh,
that was definitely the local urban legend that they were, we went up there one time and we if you put your high beams, or if you flash your high beams on Old Stage Road, this lady's ghost will walk across the road.
There was there was a lot of Mexicans where I lived when I was a little kid in Colorado, and there was a drunk wino on a bike, and they called him Loco Lean. He was crazy lean. I don't know what lean was. And he would do things if he could catch you. He wouldn't, but that was the stay away from Loco Lean. Dude just rode his bike around drunk, I think, and drinking out of a brown bag. So I think you had a bad rap, Loco Lean.
Here's what I want to know. How do urban legends spread so quickly?
When there was
Bloody
no
Mary
internet.
thing, none whatsoever. And not only that, because those could take years, I guess. But jokes like, okay, remember Pee Wee Herman got caught jerking it in a movie theater. And those jokes like that Monday, we all knew the jokes. John Bobbitt, when he got his dick cut off by his old lady, the John Bobbitt jokes were there. How did they travel so quickly pre-social media, pre-internet, pre-cell phones in everybody's pocket?
Cousins. That's the theory I've come up with. Cousins. You live in California, but you have cousins in Ohio. They hear the joke there. They fly to California and tell it to you. Then you're a new vector, like a disease, and you spread it. That's how it works.
But how so fast? Like, what was it? Pledge allegiance to the flag. Michael Jackson is a word that rhymes with that. Pepsi Cola burnt him up. Now he's drinking 7-Up.
Right.
How do we all know that song so quickly?
It's got to be cousins. That's what it is.
Oh my God! Somebody answer that shit for me right now.
I think the new cut shaved a couple years off. No pun intended.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing with my hair there. I just didn't cut it for a year and a half. And then I got into the sunk cost fallacy. We're like, well, I've let it go this long. And it is a weird thing that, this isn't going to be a very strange thing to say, but when you hear it, everyone knows it's true. It's emotional to cut your hair when it's got long. And I don't know why. It's like, oh, I've grown it for this long. And then you cut it and you're like, nah, I'm still the same person.
You've grown attached to it.
It's only the second time in my life I've had long hair. I've always had very short hair. And then I just quit cutting it in November of 22. I didn't have a haircut in all of 23 and then half of 24 almost. So I don't know.
Oh, you just wanted something new. I just wanted to cut it.
I just wanted to
something light,
rejuvenate,
something for the summer, something light, easy and breezy to take care of.
All that
you just wake up and go.
Yeah, all that Oprah shit where a woman's like reinventing herself. Yeah. Somehow that's always code for finding a new dude.
Yeah, it's funny. You see the all the shit on Instagram and stuff where it's, why do people say that being single is wrong? Like, I get to do this and I can do that. And I just can't help but believe that you're full of shit. You're full of shit. All these pictures of your hands holding a fucking coffee with some kind of design made in white foam. I don't believe that. That's not your fucking life all the time. I think most of your life, you're at home listening to the hum of your refrigerator, wishing that you wouldn't have broken up with that dude who was amazing, but he just wasn't a bad boy enough. He wouldn't choke you and pull your hair during sex, so he wasn't an asshole, and you got rid of him. That's what I believe it is. Are there people like that who can exist? Yeah. But I believe most women want to be in a relationship. They want to be moms. Right. Men say 7,000 words a day. Women say 21,000. Who the fuck are they saying all those words?
That's quite a disparity in the LAWMAN.
Right?
Kara, the only exciting thing to happen in her hometown was when they got a Walmart in the late 90s.
Ew-wee.
Well, shit, you ain't been down to Walmart yet, Jericho?
You ain't been down to Walmart. But Walmart until like what? The early 2000s? I never fucking heard of a Walmart. Now they're everywhere. They're like Starbucks.
You didn't hear of it till the early 2000s, really?
Yeah, growing up, I never heard of a Walmart.
It was very slow to come to California. My wife's best friend in middle school, she got family in Arkansas, and she
that's
told
where
us
it's
about
from.
Walmart like way before.
Yeah.
And then I think like in 91, they got a Walmart out in Greeley in Colorado when I was visiting for the summer, and I was scared of skeletons laying in my bed in the middle of that damn summer heat.
Dying of thirst.
And I remember going into Walmart, and it was just like the biggest, stupidest thing in the world. I freaking hate that store so much. Ugh.
Now, Costco, we had a Costco forever. Costco is shit. Costco is one of the greatest things that ever
Costco's
happened
the
to
good
mankind.
version. The good.
Yeah. Because you got to pay to be in Costco. They don't want no riffraff in there.
Do you think if we weren't fathers and husbands, we would love Costco the way we do? There's something about being a dad, getting that big cart and just filling it with bounty for your family. Free.
Because that's who it's for.
Right. But all the free samples, the little microwaved egg roll or chicken wing or whatever. And do you do this? You get the free food and you have a little bit of a guilt trip because maybe it's your third time around for that little piece of pizza. So you fake out the person giving it away like they give a shit because they don't. But I go, oh, these are good. Where are these? Like I'm going to buy it. But
over here. Oh, yeah, I'll go grab some. Yeah, they never do. But I do know this. If you try a sample, you're 21% more likely to purchase it.
Really?
So,
Right.
I do know that. So there's definitely, of course, there's a reason behind it. But you don't see a lot of single, young men in Costco because you just don't need 473 taquitos. But if you have a family, yeah, you need 96 rolls of toilet paper and 28 fucking pounds of eggs and all that stuff, especially when your kids get of a certain age. But yeah, I don't think it's made for the single man. I think we can live off of the regular grocery stores.
Being a dad, I'm only 45, but getting older, I've got a granddaughter that's a year and a half. So I'm in that age now, that middle age, whatever, and I'm just feeling it, man. I'm just embracing it. I went and got a burger with my son on Saturday, just the two of us, my adult son. The Butchery in Del Mar. Del Mar is one of the bougiest places by the beach in San Diego. Big money in Del Mar. And it was like a butcher shop with specialty cheeses and meats and jams and nuts and a whole butcher counter. But they also make burgers and sandwiches. My dad's been a gourmet chef for 50 years. My mom's side of the family, we owned a restaurant for 40. This is the greatest hamburger I've ever had in my life. I've been there 3 times now, called the Butchery. And me and my son got the same thing, the cheeseburger with onions and fries. They fry the fries in beef fat. This is insane, this food. It's so good. So good. But the girl brings the 2 identical trays and says, 2 cheeseburgers, and she sets them in front of me and my son, and I go, oh, this one's his, because it's the same thing. And then the girl looks at me confused, and then my son rolls his eyes, and then they both laugh, and I'm like, and then she leaves, I'm like, and my son's like, oh, you love the dad jokes? I'm like, you damn right, I love the dad jokes.
Perfect. I wonder if they sold D's nuts there. You should ask them next time.
Oh.
D's nuts was, I would say, 98% of the conversation between my friends and I in high school. Everything was, hey, they wanted you to go to the office. Who? D's nuts. Everything was D's nuts. That was so much fun.
Shrapnel says, that's why I like you guys. We have some really stupid people in our age gap. I'm not sure what this is in reference to, but who knows? It's still
as long as they like us. That's all.
Now, is this true? Diesel says he goes to Costco to get a 100-pound bag of beef jerky. I've never seen a bag of it that big.
No, I would definitely believe a 10-pound bag of pistachios.
Right. That sounds like a Santa Claus sized bag of beef jerky.
That sounds like constipation.
That would really ruin the holiday if that's all Santa gave out was beef jerky. I like beef jerky. Yeah. But if that's all that was under the Christmas tree.
Fuck you, Santa. I'd block my chimney with concrete. Don't even come in here. Piece of shit.
If Santa goes to a trailer park, does he go up like the tailpipe or how does he get inside the trailers?
He just throws it up against the trailer.
He throws it in the window.
He just says, here. He just throws it up against the fucking trailer. They can bring their toothless asses out there and pick it up. Thanks, Santa Claus.
No. Del Mar is not in La Jolla. La Jolla is La Jolla, and Del Mar's north of it. If you go to the coast, the richest part of San Diego, you got La Jolla. Like Mitt Romney has a house there. Dr. Seuss had a house there. There are $20 million estates on La Jolla. It's a hill overlooking the ocean. It's beachfront property. You got La Jolla, then you got Encinitas. No, La Jolla, then Del Mar, then Encinitas. That there's like these rich communities just going up the freeway there until you get to Camp Pendleton, the Marine base, the Marine
Not
training
rich.
ground. And that's
Not
where.
rich at all.
And then there's nothing for about 20 miles. It's all Marine stuff, and you see helicopters flying by and stuff. And there's a fake little like Black Hawk Down. There's a fake little like Middle Eastern city right off the freeway, and you'll see them landing Ospreys and helicopters and getting out and attacking it. You'll see it happening. I've seen it a few times. And then, of course, as you travel up the 5 freeway, which I did yesterday, I drove up to Hollywood yesterday. The San Onofre power plant. You remember this, Jericho?
Oh, is that the titties?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
they did that
locals-
on purpose.
Right. The locals down here in San Diego call it the Dolly Parton Memorial, even though she's alive and well. If you're driving between San Diego and Los Angeles, you will see this on the 5 freeway right next to the ocean.
Biggest titties you've ever seen.
There is, now I'm a designer for a living. I draw things, I design things. That's what I do. There is no way the engineer that designed this and then gave it to his boss for the nuclear power plant didn't know exactly what he drew. There's no way. There's no way.
That was called the pervert architecture firm.
Right.
In order for that to get all the way up the ladder, like, oh yeah, I love it. Man.
It's still there. Just drove by it yesterday.
And the farther away you get, the more they look like titties. Like you don't see all these little buildings in front of it. It just looks like a big old pair of tits.
Well, it doesn't help that the tops of those, they blink red for the helicopters and the planes.
Big old nips. I love it. I hope they never tear those down,
Right.
even if they stop using the building.
But
where I used to live in Monterey, the hoity-toity places, and I want to ask everybody in the comments, let us know like the uber rich areas where you're from, like what those towns are called. But where I used to live in Salinas, the richest areas around there were Monterey. Some parts of Monterey, you get up in the hills in Monterey, where all the old Italian money is. They call it Spaghetti Hill. That's what they call it. Yeah, even the Italians call it.
Hey, ma!
Hey, hey!
Is there Sunday gravy ready, ma?
But because back in the day, you know, you've heard of Cannery Row. We used to can the sardines. Well, a lot of Italian immigrants used to work there, and then, you know, as the property value went up, you know, so did their property and their houses and stuff. But Monterey up on the hill, but getting into Carmel by the sea, Pebble Beach, that was like, and then going down the coast to like between Monterey or between Carmel and Big Sur, like you have Nepenthe and all these like super high end $1,500, $200, $2,000 a night hotels and stuff. But definitely Monterey, Carmel by the sea, and Pebble Beach, where, you know, Tom Cruise, John Madden had a house there. Of course, you've heard of the Pebble Beach golf tournament. So
Acton.
Yeah, where I used to live, those were like the super hoity-toity areas.
Wow. So this is that's La Jolla there. That's right by me. I'm not gonna dox myself, but I could be at that beach very quickly from my house. I'll just put it that way. So and this is why we don't leave. Those of us that are not libtards and we hate the government in California, this is why we don't leave.
It's beautiful.
You can't find this anywhere else. And specifically San Diego, we have the best weather on earth. It's better than, you just go up the road a little bit to LA, even where Jericho lives. The weather, it's literally in the 70s here, basically year round. Blue sky, it's insane. When I worked for DC Comics, Warner Brothers, our office was less than a mile from here. I'll find it real quick. I'll find a picture of it for you. But yeah, this is why we don't leave, guys. You know.
And where I used to go on my break to another part, like between Seaside and Monterey, and there's these Del Monte Beach. You go up on a hill from Del Monte Boulevard, you look and you see a hill, but when you drive over the hill, it opens up. There's houses there, fucking multi-million-dollar homes. But people would park there and either go to the beach or just you see a lot of people eating their lunch there. And the view was just amazing, right on the coast. And as a kid, it would always trip me out that we're on the edge of America. Like you're standing on the edge of the United States, but it's gorgeous.
Right.
And if you could, Gabe, after that, you can look up a picture of Pebble Beach. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's and you hate to leave something like that, you know, because somebody else is screwing it all up.
Right. That's why you want it to work. So this, okay, so hold on, let me move this. Right. I'm just making sure my address isn't on here because I'm looking at the beach, but I'm logged into Google, but I want to make sure that my home isn't on here. So this is La Jolla, right? And that's that. That other picture I showed you is right here where I'm moving the mouse, where I'm wiggling it. You see where I'm wiggling the mouse real small there?
Yep.
That's this right here. That's called the children's pool. And right by it, this building right here that I'm wiggling the mouse on, that was DC Comics. So look, we're up the street from the ocean. A hilarious thing is that people that sat on the offices on that street there, they had binoculars because you could look into the windows of the Colonial Hotel right here.
Perfect.
And we'd see some stuff in those windows once in a while. My office was right here on this side of the building. That's where my office was, right there in the center. But yeah, that's where DC Comics was, a block from the Pacific Ocean. It was pretty damn nice. So yeah, it was very nice. Let me check the comments real quick. Shrapnel, but we have a visitor. He's here.
What's up, Matt?
No, Eli.
Well, you kicked him out, Gabe. That's
I
fucked
brought
up.
him in and it crashed.
Oh, that's it. That's all you get, people.
And
that's
that
all you
was
get.
Matthew Marsden, everybody.
Nice. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for stopping by. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe, check out Jericho's channel, check out mine, and check out Matthew's.
Yeah.
He's returned. He's returned.
Hey. God, I came on and I was like, I'm going to be nice and early for the guys. And you've been on for 45 minutes.
For a few minutes. Hey, man, you gotta put the kids to bed, man. What are you going to do?
No, I thought that I got the wrong time. I thought.
Oh, you're in the time zone. You're in.
Yeah. I'm in the wrong time zone, so I'm actually early for what the time that I thought it would be.
Okay.
Oh well, then we apologize to you.
So
Sorry
no,
about
it's
that.
my bad. So
are
what
you
time is
on,
it
you
there?
on English time? And you'll notice I'm in England right now.
Oh, there
I'm
you
right in front
go.
of, what do you guys call Big Ben? We call it Big Ben, but don't you call it something else?
No, it's called Big Ben. But do you want to know a bit of trivia about Big Ben?
Lay on me.
Please.
All right, Big Ben is the name of
Just
the
the
bell.
clock, not the tower.
The bell.
Oh, the bell. Okay.
Yeah, not the tower. So,
Okay.
hey, I'm sorry I'm late.
No,
we
that's
we
fine.
still got time to do some stuff.
We got some questions for you, Matt.
Oh,
you-
good.
you're-
All right.
you're here
I'm ready to
forever.
go.
You're here forever. Yeah.
We were just talking about the rich areas where we're from. Like Gabe, it's La Jolla, Del Mar. Where I used to live, it's Pebble Beach, Carmel by the Sea, Monterey.
Oh yeah, Carmel's
So,
beautiful.
Back home in England,
Mhm.
what were like the really like rich, high end, Mercedes, Rolls Royce kind of areas of England?
Well, certainly not where I grew up.
Oh
I
no,
can tell you that. Oh no, I was from abject poverty. I joke about this, but it's true. But Tolkien based Mordor on where I come from.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah, and I actually went to the same school as Tolkien.
Oh,
So
that's
there you go.
funny.
So the nice areas, there's a lot. I mean, obviously, London. If you're looking at London, there was a place called Bishop's Row. If you can
Okay.
look that up right
I'll
now,
look it
right?
up.
I don't know if you can look it up, put it up. But I used to take friends of mine down there to look at the size of the houses. I mean, they're nothing in comparison to like Beverly Hills and whatever. Now looking, I'm like, oh, but that was really nice. And in where I grew up, it was a place called Sutton Coldfield. See, there you go. Those are this is like really central London, so you can imagine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I was in, you mentioned it. I was in Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and Bel Air just last night, and just driving
Really?
around those. Well, my daughter, she does the roast battle. She does the stand up. She lost, poor thing. She made it to the 5th round,
damn it!
semifinal, and she lost to that Indian guy. We had such good Indian jokes. Poor girl. Poor girl.
Such good Indian.
But on her first try, she made it to the semifinal of the roast battle.
Dude, that's
Nice.
amazing. It's amazing.
Congrats.
So she had a little cry, but she was okay this morning, and we're back on the horse. She's doing more roast battles, more stand up. We're doing good. So
Stand-up's
good.
the most brutal thing you can do. I can
I
tell
like
you that.
brutal
now.
because that's it's awesome, but it's terrible. Brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, I like that. Brutal.
Coined
Yeah,
it.
no, we used to. I had to do it when I was doing my training, and I always avoided it, to be honest, because I think it's really, really difficult. I'm not that funny. So, well, maybe unintentionally funny,
Right.
but not intentionally funny. So,
All right. I wanted to ask you, we were talking about food as we always do on here. We'll get to that. But then
All
Jericho
right.
and I started talking about legends like werewolves and alien abductions and all that, and the local legends and all that. What were there have to be specific ones to England? Like, we had the boogeyman. You guys have like a Jabberwocky or something? Like, were there ones when you were a kid and were you scared of them or anything weird like that?
I think that look, one of the things that always amazes me, I was talking to a friend of mine here in Dallas, and he was like, "Yeah, that house is old. Yeah, it's like 1950s."
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, the house that I lived in, the last house I had in the UK was 1902, I think it was, and then the house I had in Malta was 400 years old. So when you're around those old houses, you kind of feel like something weird is about, right? In some of them. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, in the old houses. So I mean, and I do think, look, I mean, you talk about legends and all that, but I think that there's a very good argument for evil and demons that are real. You know what I mean? I know that's a little bit off topic, but but yeah, I definitely think there's an argument for that.
Interesting. I think the oldest buildings I've been in are like I've been to the Alamo in Texas. That's like 300 and something years old.
Yeah.
And I've been to some of the Catholic missions here in California that are hundreds of years old.
Yeah,
So I
they're
think those are
beautiful as well.
Oldest places I've been. So, and I've been to some down in Mexico too, some of the cathedrals. And just, I'm not Catholic, I'm Protestant, but I wish Protestants had churches like Catholics. You go in there and it's beautiful and the high ceilings and the gold filigree and I don't know. You feel something when you go into a Catholic.
Yeah, well, it's a shame that in the kind of split between the faiths that Protestants rejected a lot of that, and it's a real shame because it's really beautiful, and you realize, like, I know a lot of people, not to segue, but a lot of people go, "Oh, Catholics, they worship that don't worship statues or anything like that." But what it is, it's like like a picture in your wallet, right, of your wife or your kids. And the whole thing about going into a church like that, and like you said, you went in, it's everybody's, it's not just Catholics, it's for everybody, but it's also, it's inspiring, right? Because
beauty's inspiring,
Yeah, it's beauty. And listen, Catholic churches in the 70s are ugly. They're the worst ever. The 70s and 80s are just horrible. And we need to go back and look at making beautiful places of worship again. Well, beautiful places, because architecture is just horrendous anyway. Agreed. So yeah. But in Malta they have the oldest freestanding. I think this is true. You have to look it up. The oldest freestanding buildings built by man, as Neolithic temples. It's really quite amazing. It's a really ancient. Yeah, in fact, there's that Graham Hancock series that was on Malta was like the second episode, I think. It's really fascinating. You should have a look at it. But saying that, like, England, so there's werewolves, there's just the normal stuff that you hear, but you tend to feel it. Like, I always remember walking through London when I was younger, when I first went to London, and I got down there at night, and it feels ancient, it feels old. And you can imagine, back in the day, people, there you go, that's Malta.
Yeah, this is that really old complex in Malta.
Yeah.
One thing about being an American, and especially America is, bigger than Europe almost, right? America's 2,600 miles wide or something like that. It's huge. And I realized something about 10 years ago, that even America has its own distinct cultures based on time. Like, people came from Europe and other places and hit the East Coast, and they've been there for 400 or 500 years. Some of those families, Italians and, Dutch and all that, and they're still there, Dutch in Pennsylvania from the 1400s. You come out to California, Colorado, Arizona, people have been here for 23 years, 17 years, 80 years maybe. So our roots are very shallow out in the western half of America. And you go back to the east, I think it's a little more European as far as they've been there for centuries, some of those families. Mm-hmm. But out here in the west, you'll be hard pressed to find people who've been here for a very long time. So
yeah, and sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, man.
No, I was just saying that when you go to Boston, it feels very English. Like I did I did a pilot there, and it feels very English, like the windy streets and everything. But I love the American culture as well. You make your own, right? I mean, that's the
Right.
whole thing. It's great. Yeah.
I remember going down to New Orleans, right by the water there and all that. And we went to the famous Café du Monde and did all the the French Quarter. We did all the touristy things. And they have the street names on the ground in tiles. And I think I read something that said that was like from the 1500s or something like that. And just again, being an American living out in the West, there's just not a lot of stuff that's that old. So I found that fascinating. So I do think that eastern half of America versus the western half, obviously, it has a much richer and older history. But go ahead, Jericho. You were going to say something, bud.
Well, if you have, especially growing up out here, the missions are really a part of the West Coast California culture, if you want to call it that, because we all grow up about 4th or 5th grade. You do a mission project. You get assigned a mission. You have to build a model. You have to do a report on it. So when you go into some of those old historic buildings and stuff, you'll see, things from the early 1800s. I think that's probably about as old as it gets out here. And they'll have these plaques and stuff like the Indian graveyards and stuff and the churches. And like you guys were saying, the opulence of the Catholic churches. I lived probably 20 minutes from the San Juan Bautista mission. And so I've been to like weddings there and stuff like that. But the inside, and then what really makes it amazing is this is before automation. This is all by hand, the painting, the sculptures, and it's crazy how modern everything looks, but it really wasn't. And it's high ceilings, the stained glass. It's beautiful. It really is. The gardens outside and stuff. All the grounds are really beautiful. But I think had people come from the West and hit America first, it would be just like the East Coast. But I think people just couldn't make it out here. Like
Pacific Ocean's kind of huge. It's kind of
and coming from the East Coast, people probably stopped like, fuck, we've been going for months. Like this has to be the end. Like they probably couldn't even make it out here.
Do you know what, Jericho? When I came to Texas, I've driven across America once before or twice before, but when I came from California to Texas, it's amazing. Anyone that says that we're overpopulated is just absolutely ridiculous. Like you drive and you do not see another person for hours, and these are main freeways, right? You don't see anyone. I remember, so it takes 10 hours to get from California to the edge of Texas, and 10 hours to get from the edge of Texas to Dallas. That's just vast amount of space. It's massive.
I drove my wife and I. Remember when they were canceling all the flights a few years back because of a thing we can't mention on YouTube? And our 25th wedding anniversary, we were going to go to Disney World in Orlando, Florida. We live in San Diego. I bought tickets, rent a car, Disneyland tickets, airplane tickets. And I told my wife, we shouldn't fly. What if they cancel our layover in Houston and we miss our stuff? And so we drove from the beach here to the beach there. And it was amazing. But your thing you're saying about Texas, when I got to El Paso on the western edge of Texas, there was a sign I saw that said, I think it was Houston or whatever, Beaumont or whatever the other edge is by Louisiana. And it was 900 and something miles to drive across Texas. It was insane.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's giant.
Did that kind of surprise you coming out here and seeing the size of America? Because on the East Coast, the states are much smaller. And on the West Coast is 3 states. And on the East Coast, I don't know, 20 or something like that. But especially driving through Texas for the first time, did that just kind of blow your mind, seeing just the vastness of it? Yeah,
you can't get your head around it, and like, actually, I was referring back to what you were saying, Jericho, about the fact that every time I do that drive, I kind of imagine them in their wagons, and they're like, I've got to go over that. Like, And look, I don't blame any of them for stopping, right? But the people that did, this is why America is so great, though, because there were some people there that were like, I'm going to give it a go.
Right.
And you're like, what are you even thinking?
Yeah, you do have to think about that. Of all races and nationalities in the world, some of the most daring people from all the different creeds chose to come here. And that's why we have that American spirit, because if you're that daring, bold, kind of like, no, there's a better way. I can do this. You came here, or at least you tried to come here. And I think so many of our ancestors have that in their personality. That's why so many of us have it. You know what I mean? That's why so much entrepreneurial things come from America. When you think about the inventions that just come from here, basically the modern world comes from American culture. And it
It's
doesn't matter
amazing.
the race. It's just a self-selecting group of people who say, you know what? No, I think we can go to the moon. I fucking love airplanes because I flew when I was little. So I never developed the fear of planes, and I was obsessed with Star Wars. So when the airplane would take off to go to Hawaii or wherever we were going, me and my brother would throw our heads back and pretend we were flying the airplane and all this stuff. And to this day, when I see airplanes fly, and I live very close to the Miramar Naval Air Station or the Marine Station, the Top Gun, and I always see planes flying around, and I'm just, how the hell did they think that would work? Whoever thought a giant piece of metal, tons and tons of metal, just flying like a bird. I'm just fascinated by it, and it takes that spirit to say, no, we can figure this out. We can do this.
And life was dangerous and tough back not too far in the past, say 100 years. Life was dangerous. And like you mentioned, Matt, going across country, like we're just going to go until we can't go anymore. Like what the bandits, the Indians going across the plains, the
bears, bears eating you.
Yeah, we hadn't shot them all yet. Yeah. So the bears, the mountain lions, the buffalo, just getting out, just sacking up, packing up the family, getting in your wagon, everything you have, and heading out west. That's just crazy. Because life was brutal.
But here's the thing as well, and I say this all the time. Actually, you mentioned America being about the size of Europe, right? Like it's really amazing if you put the map on. Now, I actually think that Texas is the size of the majority of Europe. If you can pull that up as well, because I think it is, because you can go through. I mean, if you drive through France, and I think I can't remember what's next, like Luxembourg or Belgium, and then through, because I've actually done it, but it's a long time ago, and you get to Holland. That's like you can do that in like 6 or 7 or 8 hours. Right. That's the funny thing. Like so you can go through a number of countries, but nobody's under threat of getting eaten by a mountain lion in Europe. Right. There you go.
Are out here.
So there's a few of these and they're different. I don't know which one is correct, but in general, this one says it's bigger. There was one down here that said it was closer, but still big. In general, America is probably a little bit bigger than Europe, which is insane.
I think it is, because what they've got there is they just showed it over the UK as well. But if you see, I mean, that's I mean, Europe, they're playing hard and fast and that with that. But if you get one up that says Texas, you'd be surprised how massive Texas is.
Yeah, Texas
I saw one that had just Texas. Let me see if I can find. Oh,
here's something that
that's massive. Look at that.
Right.
Look at all the countries inside of it. That's just one state, just one.
So I think that's one thing that Americans, a disadvantage for us. First of all, we're on the other side of the globe, 2 giant oceans, Pacific and Atlantic. So many Americans don't travel. I haven't traveled. I've been to Mexico. That's it. I've never been to another country because it's not convenient, and we didn't have any money really to do it growing up. I could do it now. I just don't have a lot of time because I'm running my own company. But you Europeans, you can get on the train and you can be somewhere in like 2 hours, and it's a whole other country. That's amazing.
But you know what? You can be somewhere else and hate them, because that's what they do. They all hate each other. That's the thing that people don't talk about. It's like you go, oh, you can go to France. You go, yeah, and you're like, but it's full of French. And then you're gonna go to Germany. It's like, oh, the Germans, I must invade the next, and then the Italians, well,
do you have your papers, Massimo?
Yes, you have your papers, but they all hate each other. And it's really funny, because I was thinking about this the other day, because like when you're in California, right, you don't need anything else. Let's be honest. You don't need to go anywhere. You can go skiing, you can go scuba diving, you can surf. It's beautiful. I mean, apart from the fact that they're driving it into the ground. So when I moved to Texas, I had a friend of mine was like, hey, listen, I know it's not like Florida, but like the Galveston beach, everyone rags on it because it's not like really blue. I haven't been there yet, but it's not really blue like Florida or California. I mean, California's not really that blue. I mean, down near with you, it's a little bit better. But why would you want to leave? And I realized this the other day. Like, I haven't gone from Texas. Like, for me to drive, I could drive around to Florida if I wanted to, and it's right there. So if you live in Texas and it's 10 hours drive to get out of Texas.
Yeah.
Why are you going to get on a plane and go? I mean, I haven't seen hardly any of America. Well, it's not a lie. I have seen a lot of America, but I haven't seen, I haven't vacationed in America. You know what I mean? I've driven through, and stayed overnight and seen sights, but not really vacation there and soaked it up. You know what I mean?
When you traveled, was it mostly for film and television stuff, like work?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky to travel the world through business, you know, and so I actually got to the point where I was like, look, I don't want to travel anymore. I just want to stay home for a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't want to see the inside of a hotel again for a long time.
I can see that happening. I'm not there yet. You know, I still love to travel, but I could see like, or if it's your job and you're doing it once a week or, 3 times a month and you're always leaving your kids and your wife, I could see that. You know?
Well, Black Hawk Down, we were in Morocco for 6 months.
Oof.
And that's a long time, you know, to be away.
Yeah.
A long time.
Diesel, one of the great fans here, he's been with us for like almost 2 years on the show. We love Diesel. I think he's asking you, Matthew, have you spent time in Vegas? Because he knows me and Derek have. Do you like Las Vegas? I love Las Vegas. I don't gamble and I don't drink, but I love Las Vegas.
I don't actually like Las Vegas, and I'll tell you why. I mean,
all right, well, goodbye, Matthew.
No, I think it's great for like 2 days, and then I'm like, oh,
you have to leave in two and a half days. You got to leave. You're right.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't take it after. You know, when you get there, that the hotels are incredible, and you can go and see I remember going and watching the Cirque du Soleil,
right?
And that's my jam, right? I mean, I'm a theater actor primarily, or I was, and I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it is everything about it is excellent. Just staggering artistry. You know, the fact they built the stage like that. I mean, Vegas to a degree is kind of like it's kind of, I don't want to say it's the pinnacle of being American, but. If you know, well, because what they did was they just took a desert and they made something out of it,
right.
And they built these incredible hotels, and then they've done these they've made something out of nothing, which I think is American. You go down to La Jolla. Right. It's gorgeous, all right. You got Seal Beach all around that area. I know it really well. It's gorgeous, like. All right, throw up some houses in a hotel, well done. But you go to Vegas and you're in the middle of nowhere. It when you drive out there, right? And you go over that hump and you come down. You're like, I think I'm in the middle of nowhere. And then you go over the hump and you start coming down. It's like, boom, and there's nothing else there.
Yeah,
it's incredible. So, but it's not my Vegas isn't my jam. I mean, I have had some of the best food ever there. I mean, it's got the great things if you really want it. But
that's what I love about it: the food and the attractions. You can. I think it might be one of the best food cities in the world. It has to be.
It is. Yeah. It is.
Well, you have to gear up for Vegas. Like when you don't go to Vegas to chill. Like you got to get your game face on for Vegas because everybody's in Vegas. You go into a hotel. We were in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I was staying at the hotel, and the line just zigzags forever. Yeah. Luckily, this nice lady from the VIP room that you have to pay like $60 to even go in there, she grabbed like the last 5-6 people in line and checked us in. She's like, I just saved you an hour and a half waiting. So everything is turned up to 10 in Vegas. And I agree with you, Matt. I'm 2 days. I'm out of there. And
how good was that place Dean suggested? The Italian, though.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, go there for some great food, see some people, hit a show. I'm out of there. Yeah. But to kind of piggyback on what you said about being in Morocco for 6 months filming Black Hawk Down, when I was in the Navy, being underway for 6 months and watching guys whose wives were pregnant when they left, or their kids were, a certain age when they left, and not seeing your people for 6 months and being away from the States or wherever you're from, being away from home for 6 months. That's a long time. You're missing holidays. Right. You're calling home for Thanksgiving. You're calling home for Christmas or FaceTime, now that that's available. But I remember Christmas morning. So it's summer there, hot as shit. We're in flip flops and tank tops on Christmas Day, but the line of people waiting to call home for Christmas. And you have that delay, on the phone. You got a 3-5 second delay. But being away from home, whatever or wherever that is, that's a long time, man. A lot happens in 6 months, and that grind,
especially when your kids are little, especially.
Yeah, man. I didn't have kids at the time. I could only imagine. They're new people when you get back for 6 months. They've grown. It's crazy. So yeah, that's a long time to be away. But so looking at the cast of Black Hawk Down.
Jericho, can I do something for 10 seconds first? Because I've been trying to get this in here.
10 seconds. That's all I'm
Start counting. Guys, there's a link I put right there. It's in the chat. Subscribe to Matthew Marsden's channel. There are 93 people in here. I need 93 likes right now, 93 shares, and 93. Look at this handsome British, now American fellow. He's joined us so graciously. He's a great guy.
Blimey. Although I don't know my time zones yet, do I?
No, that's in the past. That's the water off a duck's back.
But I need as many of you as you can to go follow his channel. And that's all of you. It's just a click, guys. It doesn't cost you anything. So please do it. He's got great content on there. He's smart. He's funny and insightful. Got a great story. A long career now in the entertainment. You'll love it. You'll check it out and you'll love it. You love this channel. You'll love what Matthew's doing. So please check that out. Sorry for interrupting, Jericho. Go ahead, buddy.
First of all, that was more than 10 seconds. We'll talk about that later. Second,
we'll talk about it off the air, okay?
Well, not only.
Why do we always fight when we have a guest?
Not in front of the kids, Gabe. Not in front of the kids.
That's funny.
So not only have you had a long and illustrious career, but I think you're a pretty rare breed because music, TV, and movies. Talk about a triple threat. There are not a lot of people who can reach the heights that you have in all three facets of entertainment. So that's great. But looking at the cast of Black Hawk Down, star-studded cast, and I'm sure, this is 23 years ago. So you were a young man, probably pretty new in the movie biz. So speaking of being there for 6 months, I'm sure when you first showed up, correct me if I'm wrong, but some pretty heavy hitters in the room, right?
Yeah.
Did that feeling stay with you, or at a certain point were they just the guys and we're just here to do our job?
It's a great question. I think that, so the first movie I ever did, the proper movie I ever did, was with Michael Caine. So I'd already been in with one of the GOATs, right? He's like one of the greatest of all time. So that was very much, I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, what am I doing? I'm with Michael Caine. This is unbelievable. I grew up watching him, and it's kind of like he's the Christopher Walken of England, because everybody has a Michael Caine impression.
Oh, Mr. Caine, I do have a question for you, Mr. Caine. Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Now, you knew a young Matthew. Was he a rapscallion on set, or was he, was he straight, like devoted to hard work, or was he goofing around talking to ladies? How did it go?
Oh, him and the ladies. No, he was a good boy. It's a funny story.
Matthew's wife is watching this, bro.
No, truly. So what happened was I went up to him one day and I said, Michael, we've been shooting for some time. And I said, Michael, do you have any pointers for me? Is there anything I could do better? And he looks at me and he goes, "You're doing just fine, son." And now there's a story to this. So I was like, okay, darn it. I was hoping I could get some pointers from him.
Yeah. So
I see him later on. He's on a TV show called Parkinson, which is like the equivalent of like Leno or whatever, Tonight Show. And he said that he never gives actors advice, because he asked an actor for advice when he was a kid, and the guy goes, "Yeah, quit."
Oh.
So he said, I never.
Damn.
So in answer to your question, Jericho, so I'd already been through that. And then when, like, the person that I was kind of, I say, intimidated by was Ridley Scott, because I mean, as an actor, I'll tell you this right now, and Dean will say it, and everyone's at, when you're in a movie like that, everyone's kind of at the same level, pretty much. Everyone's at the same level. You might have some that are a little bit better, a little bit worse, some that might have a little bit better roles, but and even in Hollywood, we know this. We know that the majority of actors of a certain level are at a certain level, and then there's a couple that are just like on a different stratosphere. So when you go in, you're like, yeah, of course I'm here. Like this is, I earned it, right? Like everybody else. It doesn't get into your head that, oh, that's Hugh McGregor or that's Josh Hartnett, because that all melts away, right, really quickly, because you know that could have been you. You know, it could have been you doing Venom. It could have been you doing this. And that's the way the majority of actors, I think, look at it. Sometimes they're wrong to do that because sometimes they're not good enough, right? Like there's a lot of people, you've seen, you know, American Idol, right? Everyone thinks that they can sing like Beyonce. And they can't, right? So, you know.
So did you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Did you, because, you know, again, having a lot of established A-list actors in that movie, did you see kind of any diva behavior? Of course, leaving names out. Did anybody have like an entourage? Like, is anybody real Hollywood?
No eye
when
contact.
they were on the set.
Don't look right at me.
No, we didn't have any of that. I mean, there was one person that you can probably
Michael Caine.
Figure out. No, Michael was. I mean, he was like the least most Hollywood person I've ever met. There was one person that was kind of difficult on set on Black Hawk Down, but he got kind of put in his place by other actors. Like just let's just put it like this: if ever anyone did a movie about what went on outside of the movie, it was unbelievable. Like some of the craziest stuff. I mean, I'm not talking about like debauchery or anything like that, but just insane things happened. And I actually had to straighten the guy out as well. Just kindly, you know, just a little nudge. But that was one person, and you know, it was a little glitch. And when you're out there, you got to remember, we were all in one hotel and we're all stuck together for 6 months. And it's kind of like a brotherhood when you go out there, when you're on a movie like that, you really get to know each other. And I don't have, well, maybe there's maybe 2 people that I would have a bad word to say about on that set. And just because of their behavior after the film came out. But, and Jericho, I'll talk to you about that. And you'll get it. Most certainly you'll get it. I'll tell you.
I think I might know. I think I might, but yeah.
So, and I was just like, you got to be kidding, you know, because when you're doing a movie like that and you're playing real life people that you know, people that died, like, you got to take that really seriously.
Sure.
So I think that, Ridley was the one that was intimidating to me because I'm a movie fan. Right? I wanted to get into it because of those movies. I loved Alien. You know, Gladiator had just come out the year before, and next thing you know, I'm going, and Jerry as well. I mean, I got to become friends with Jerry Bruckheimer, but you know, it's Jerry Bruckheimer. You know what I mean? He was the biggest producer in the world.
You would see that before films, you'd see that tree with the lightning in the road. You know, that Bruckheimer films, you'd see it all through the 90s and the early 2000s, all the time.
Yeah, and he was like super humble. Like both of those guys were super humble to work with, and I became friends with Jerry. Ridley was just the calmest person you've ever met in your life in the midst of all that. But no, I mean, I'd say the vast majority, a couple of outliers apart, the cast was amazing. Like Bill Fichtner, what a guy. Kim Coates, amazing person. Because I separated in the movie, right? So I was with the Delta guys. So I spent a lot of time with, like, especially with Eric Bana, who is awesome. I spent a lot of time with Jason Isaacs as well. So, you know, people kind of got in their little cliques, just people that they really got on with. And also obviously the filming schedule. So I was a bit of an anomaly because if you think about it, I was the only one left behind. So when everyone else went and they did the column, you know, and they were driving around going in, or they were stuck in there, I wasn't one of those guys. It was like me and Eric outside of all that. And then we had 2 Czech stunt guys with us playing the other two Delta guys. So it was me and Eric spent a lot of time together. You know, we were together a lot. Yeah.
So did you guys? Oh, here's something I got to ask you, man. I always see this in movies, and I always wonder how well do the actors know these people? So you'll see the producer, the executive producer, the casting director, and stuff like that. Do you guys really know these people, or are they kind of at a different point in the process? Or did you were you like on a first name basis with the producers?
I mean, by the end of the film, you are.
Are they there while you're
yeah,
filming?
they're
Or they're
there.
in California.
Yeah, no, they're there with
Oh.
something like that. Yeah, like Branko Lustig was on set every day. Jerry was on for the most time. Jerry came and went. And Chad Oman, who was part of the Bruckheimer films, he was there the whole time. But we had, you know, it's kind of a weird thing because you get into that moment. I mean, this is my first big film, like my first giant film, and so all I'm focused on is doing the job. Right. And it's a weird thing. I was actually thinking about it today. I've had a lot of been reflecting a lot over the last few weeks on a multitude of different things, like the things that we were talking about earlier on, like kind of random stuff, but also on the nature of the way people are in Hollywood. And it made me realize something. And I know this might sound ridiculous, but I'm just not a suck up. Right? Like, I don't give a shit if you're the director. Like, if you're a cool person, you're a cool person. A lot of the times when I'm on sets since then, I'll go off and I did it on a movie that I did. Well, I did a little bit on Tenet, and I saw a guy walk past and he got a tattoo on his leg, and it was a military tattoo. So I went over and I started talking to him, and I hung out with him. And you know, so I don't really care. And I think that has probably been detrimental to my career, you know, because you see people like when we were doing Transformers, like I always, almost all the time when we were shooting in White Sands, New Mexico, I'd sit next to Michael Bay. And I'm like, he's just a human being, right? And we would talk like human beings. And I just thought that they would appreciate that. And I think they do, but it's not good for your career because people will really push and get in their faces, and that's just not me. I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? So I think of course, you know, I got to know Ridley. On that, it was, you know, I think slightly different to other films. Like when I worked on Rambo, there's only a handful of actors, and you know, I spent a lot of time with Sly, and because he's directing, right? So I spent time with him as an actor and time with him as a director. It's a lot of time. But when you're doing Black Hawk Down, you've got these giant set pieces. Same with Transformers. It's just a massive film. And I think like only you get someone like Shia who would spend a lot of time with Michael and, you know, the rest, because they're thinking it's such a massive undertaking. And I think with Ridley cast very well. So he cast so that he didn't have to go in and micromanage people. So he would literally come up to us, all right, and he'd come in with his cigar, right? All right, Matt, okay. There's gonna be an explosion. Okay, over there. Boom. You guys are gonna run to it. Rolling! And that'll be it. And we'd be like, what? Hang on. And that's why the movie looks so real, because a lot of the hits that we got, a lot of the explosions.
You were actually terrified.
Yeah, no, we didn't know where they were. So they're real reactions. So, so yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's because once you get shut out of that, once you're out of the loop, once you're not what they say hot anymore, like once you go against the Borg, like Dean has, like I have. When you stand up and you're principled, all of a sudden, those kind of things that you feel are always going to be around, you realize, well, oh, hang on a second, they're gone completely. Does that make sense? Like those relationships are just.
I've had the same thing because you know I worked for Warner Brothers DC Comics for like 15 years. I was friends with these people You know, they text me happy birthday, all the stuff, always worked for them, with them, going to all the parties, and come out against all their woke crap too. I haven't heard from any of them that work at the con. I've heard from freelancer friends of mine, but any of the editorial and my friends for like 15 years, like that, unfollowed me on social media and just like
friends.
Okay, I guess. Like
And
I tolerated you hating Christians and patriotic people for 15 years. I just in one ear out the other. As soon as you found out I didn't agree with you, like gone.
Yeah,
you know?
And you kind of wish that you would have known that before, so you didn't waste the last 15 years on them.
Fucking time.
But having a radio background and being around big celebrities on the music end of things, like you were saying, not being a suck up as a man, I can't do that. I would see the same thing, people fawning over these celebrities and like asking them for stuff and kissing their ass, and it's hard to put into words. I just can't. I can't do that. I can't kiss their ass. I have to be, and not be standoffish.
You got to be real, right? You got to be real.
For me, because I got to sit in my car and drive home with me after that, and just you don't want that film, that scum on you from acting like that. But let me ask you this, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Having done like you said, the big cast with Black Hawk Down and Transformers, and having a smaller cast with Rambo, which is one of my favorite movies. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer that more intimate experience making the film with a smaller group, or did you kind of like the big budget? You know, because I'm sure there's a lot of accoutrement that come with these big budget films, or did you kind of like that more intimate feel of Rambo?
Do you know, it's kind of like saying, do you like a truck or do you like a Porsche? Like, you know, you could like both for different things. And I think that for the filmmaker in me, for like the movie person in me, I like the big movies because, you know, you get there and they've got everything. Like there's every toy that you can imagine. And it is people operating on the highest level, where you have Bay, who, you know, and a lot of people criticize Michael Bay, but he's probably the best action director on the planet. And he moves so fast, and he sees everything. So you get onto a movie like that and you're like, oh, there's an F-22 Raptor that they're going to film today. Like, what? I remember sitting at one point in between takes, and there was a B-1 bomber just there. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is so weird. Like all these, you know, because I've been since I've been on movies where, like, you know, you can't even afford a pen. So you have all this money. You know, when we did that Transformers, they got the new, well, it was a prototype of the Corvette Stingray. They were doing a anniversary of it. And I remember going, this is wild, because I remember watching or reading, you know, movie magazines with behind the scenes showing this kind of stuff, and now I'm in it. So I never really got I don't get jaded by it, right? It's always interesting to me. So on that side of things, that's great. But I mean, look, you're talking about $150 million movie, and then Rambo was still a $40 million movie. So it's not like a teeny movie, but that side of it, the artist, I love, right? Because you get time, you get to be able to, like with something like Transformers, for the most part, what you're doing is you're hitting your mark and you're saying your lines the way that they want them, and it's the spectacle that they're really looking at. You know, we knew it was about the robots, right? It's the robots. But with something like Rambo, you're there and you got to figure out how you're going to play that role, and you can't get swallowed up because Sly is such a, you know, he's such a powerful force. So from with that particular movie, it was a threading the needle for me with being enough of a presence to be able to hold my own on screen with him, but also playing a sniper. Right. And if any of you know snipers, they're very cool people that for the most part, they don't. I mean, I told him at one point he had a 3-page speech for me, or 2-page speech for me. And I asked him if we could take it out, because I said, I don't know anyone that would talk like this that's a sniper. It's not. And he took it out. It's not in the movie. I'm probably the only the only actor in history that asked to have less lines in a film. but that the ability to play opposite another person, right? Like to be able to get in there and have the camera come in nice and close and to really do serious stuff. I mean, that is that kind of satisfies the artist in me, the actor in me.
I heard an interview you were doing, just a clip of it, where you were talking about filming Rambo, and I don't know what the line was, but you said there was a line that I don't know, you liked it or didn't like it or whatever, and you delivered it with a lot of extra something, and then you said Stallone told you, "Any more ham, and we're gonna have a sandwich." And
No, it's funny. So what happened with that?
To get burned by him. So
yeah. So what happened with that was we were on the boat. I think it was. We're on the boat, and I think it's the line. I think it's still in the movie where he goes, where I say, "My name's Schoolboy. My mates won't stop calling it me, no matter how many people I shoot." I just thought it was really clunky, and he gave it me, and I'm like, "That's a weird line," but okay. I'm a meat puppet, right? I'm going to go and say my line, and so anyway, I was because when you get a line like that, you're like, "How am I going to deliver it? How am I going to deliver it?" And you don't always have time. So he said, "All right, let's go." And he said, "Just turn to me and say the line." And I went, "They call me Schoolboy," and I turned like that, and I say it, and he goes, "Hey, any more ham and we'd have a sandwich, do it again." And I was like, "Oh man, like that's so embarrassing." So I did it again. He goes, "That's better." And then we moved on. But the rest of the story was we're in ADR. So for those of you that don't know, ADR is when if there's noise over the track or over your vocals or something's wrong with your vocals, they'll have you come in and you basically match it. And with something like
hard?
that,
Can I ask you really quick? Is that hard to match?
It's my superpower. I'm really good at that.
Okay.
So you're asking the wrong person because I go in, I get it normally in one take, and I go like it's because it's a musical thing. So what they do is they'll put like you're in the movie theater, and you'll sit there like this, and you got your lines, and what they'll do is they'll say, "Okay, how many beeps do you want? Do you want 3 beeps?" Normally it's like 3 beeps. So they'll show you the line that's messed up. And then what they'll do is they'll pull it back and they'll start the scene. And then you hear like, boop, boop, boop. And then you have to say your line, right, to match it. And so if you got rhythm or if you can lip sync or sing, then it's not a problem. And Sly really loves doing that. He's very, very good at changing his performance in ADR. Like he'll hone his performance in ADR.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
And you can tell a lot. Now I don't know if this line was put on afterwards, but I hear it all the time. Do you remember in Rocky? I don't know if it's the first one. I think it's the first one. It's the first one because he goes, there ain't going to be a rematch. And you hear him it's off camera, right? He goes, "I don't want one." And that to me is such a clear ADR line. Mm. Right, they put that in afterwards, and people do that all the time, right? But so anyway, he turns around to me, and we're doing that scene. We're in the cinema, and we're watching it. And I went, "Hey," I said, "Do you remember what you said to me this day when we did this?" And he goes, "What?" And I said, "You said any more ham, and we'd have a sandwich." And he burst out laughing, and he goes, "Hey, I've made more sandwiches than anyone else in Hollywood." So I was like, I mean, and it's Stallone. He's very funny. He's a funny guy. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, when you're recording stuff like that, when you hit it in one take, that's like a little endorphin boost right there.
Yeah,
like, you nailed it.
Yeah,
you know your line is coming because nothing pisses people off more than having to record something and then someone's not nailing it. Because pretty soon it's like, "Oh no, that's fine. Do it again. All right, one more time."
Oh yeah.
Dude.
And some people just can't get it. You know, some people can't, like they just can't get on the beats, right? They can't hit the beats, or they'll get the intonation wrong and all that. I'm good at it. I don't like doing it because I think you want to preserve the original recording because you're never going to get that feeling again. I don't think anyway. But like on that, when we're on the boat, because the boat had the motor, so all that stuff was ADR pretty much, apart from the time when we could turn it off. And we had, if you think about it, like where are the sound people? Well, they're in boats next to us,
right?
So their engine too. Yeah.
So we've got
So-
their engines and the sound, and there's the camera department that's there. So you got like 5 or 6 boats next to you. That's what people don't see.
Could you see the supreme violence of that movie while you were making it? Because that, the first, I've of course seen all of them, but the first 3 Rambos, I want to say one of them, part 2 was like PG-13. Part 3, I try to erase from my memory. But part 4, and it had been a few years since part 3. I think part 3 came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
So not only was part 4 here, Rambo's back, but it was violent as shit.
When he gets on that 50 cal or 20, whatever, on the Jeep, and he's just melting people with that.
I mean, and the in the boat scene where they were going to take Julie Benz's character, those pirates, and what he does to them. The scenes that you guys were in where Lewis gets his legs mangled, and he did good. And I fucking hated Lewis in that movie. But all of those
guitar in real life.
Yeah, but his character, I mean, he nailed it because his character was a dick. Yeah. And then the shooting with that you have the sniper rifle and stuff, that scene where you guys are rescuing them from the camp. Like, could you see that on set, or was it kind of like once you saw it all put together? Because it was we knew it was violent. We knew it was going to be violent, but like you don't know how violent the movie's going to be because you don't know what's going to make it, right? So for example, when we were doing the last scene, right, when everyone comes in and I'm at the top and I'm shooting, I was away from everybody. I was up the top, so I didn't see any of the stuff that was going on down at the bottom. Again, I was in kind of a weird situation. So here's a little funny story. So when we get there, and I had requests for what I wanted to carry with me, like I wanted a SIG, P226, and I wanted a Fairburn Sykes dagger, which if you watch the film, they changed it to the Rambo knife because I was going to take over the franchise from him. But
how close, derail you for once, how close did that get, like in talks for you going forward?
I was to do it, and then he changed it when we finished the film. So the Baumgartner character, who's the guy who was the head of the mission, the church guy, he was originally a CIA guy. And then so he comes in and he says, Rambo, I'm sending some guys with you. I know who you are. You got to go and rescue them. It was in the original script, Pearl of the Cobra. And then at the end, he and I are in I think we're in a cafe somewhere talking, me and Rambo talking to Schoolboy and Rambo, talking to Baumgartner, the CIA guy, and he says, right, you guys are going on another mission. And then Rambo was going to become the Troutman character. But but Sly changed it. And you know what? I love the movie, and I'm a fan of the Rambo franchise, and I thought it was the fitting end to the franchise.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that because we like Stallone. We don't want to. Have you ever read, did you read the Richard Morel's book, First Blood, the actual book that it's all based off of?
No, but I mean,
Run, Don't Walk. It's amazing. The first Rambo book. It's amazing.
Well, First Blood is one of my favorite movies ever. I mean, I couldn't believe that I was going to be doing the film.
The book is insane. The psychological stuff going on, and it's different to the book. I'll leave it at that. The book is amazing, First Blood. So
yeah, I know, I loved it. But so did we know it was violent? So here's an interesting story about that. So Sly didn't think all that stuff was going to get in, right? He said, I'm gonna put it all in, and I'm gonna put it up to the MPAA, and if they tell me to take 10% out, it'll still be one of the most violent movies of all time. Mm-hmm. And they just went, okay. And he went,
can you believe they let me do all this shit?
So, I mean, and when I watch it, I mean, listen, it was really funny going and watching it for the first time, especially with the stunt guys that were there. Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Like jumping up people, that was the last experience I had in a cinema where people jumped up and cheered. Especially when I blew the guy's head off on the boat. Like they love that. Like that was just like and the one earlier on when Rambo comes around the corner and I get to blow those two guys through the through the. I was there when they did that. When they put these guys, the Thai stunt guys are some of the toughest in the world. They just put these Thai guys on these bungees and just flew back
Oh,
on the bungees. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it was
The
amazing.
rescue scene you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that, and I wanted to ask you about the weapons training too, but
Mhm.
that's exactly what would happen if you're basically across a roadway shooting somebody with a Barrett 50 cal.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a
where
good
was that
night.
filmed? Where was that filmed? What?
It was filmed in Thailand, and we were right
Oh,
up on the border of Burma. But this is what I wanted to tell you guys. Actually, Jericho, you're talking about the training. So we go over there, and we got the Thai Special Forces there with us. Amazing guys. I mean, they see a lot of action all the time in the jungle because they're doing a lot of counter narcotics up there. It's the Golden Triangle, and so they're trying to sort that out. So anyway, they go over to us, and I've got my gear. I choose my gear, like I said, that I want, and I've Slide chose the Barrett. At one point, it was going to be a Chaytek, and then he changed it to the Barrett. He was like, "I just want this, giant weapon." And so anyway, we start doing because I love the training, right? I'm like, I'll go and do the training. I'm not an actor that will go and sit in my hotel room. Like, if there's training going on, I'm going to go do it. Even if I'm not a part of it, I'll go do it. So I went up and I got them to give me an M4, and they go, okay, this is what we're going to start moving. And and the guy comes straight over to me and he goes, come here. It's the Thai guy. He pulls me over, goes, who trained you? Who trained you? And I was like, massive compliment, right? Like, giant compliment. But I said it was the US Army Rangers. He's like, huh. So when they go into a room, and he started asking me questions, I'm like, I'm totally not qualified to tell you about the, tactics of the Army Rangers, but because they drilled it into us so much in Black Hawk Down that I'd still got the muscle memory from moving. And I had a squad automatic weapon. I had M249.
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
I had the saw in Black Hawk Down, and so I was desperate to get. It's funny because you get it, you're like, oh, I got to carry this bloody thing, but every guy in the fire team loved it. They were like, we want that weapon because that is the one that does the damage. But
Right.
To look sexy on film. Can I tell you a little story about this? Can I tell you a
Please.
little story? I'll tell the people. Okay, so we're shooting. Remember the scene where me and Eric go back in, right? So Eric comes out and I say, I'm going to cut my cast off. I'm going to come back in with you, right? And so we go and we split off, and you see us jump over the wall, and then we're going through the city, right? And that's where we find the helicopter, and we blow the helicopter up, and then we go to the guys. I'll put the night vision on and kill, and Eric kills the Somalis. So we're going to get that shot, right? So, but it's the end of the day. And you got to remember this, right? So it's funny because I was in Colorado Springs last week, and when you hear just one helicopter come over, it's like so loud, right? It's just so loud, those military helicopters. But we had 4 Black Hawks, 4 Little Birds, and I think we had, do we have Hueys or Bell Rangers? But we had 2 other helicopters to film, right? They're the filming helicopters. So it was just like the end of the world. It was so loud. But we wanted to get this shot because it was golden hour. The sun was coming down. The helicopters were up. Looked amazing. And they go, all right, Matt, we're going to get you shot. We're going to get the shot where you and Eric go over the wall. I'm like, okay. So we get in a Humvee. And for those of you that haven't been in a Humvee, there's not a lot of space in Humvees, believe it or not, right? There's not a lot of space. So I get in. And so there's the driver, Eric's in the back, and we've got another Czech stunt guy. And so I've got the saw, and I've got it like this, like in between my legs. And here's a little bit of tip for you. You don't want to be the guy when there's 7 cameras going, or however many cameras are going, that can't open the door.
Oh,
right. You don't want to be that guy. So I open the door, I make sure it's open, and I'm holding it closed. Right, like just with my hand. So I've got the saw and I'm holding it closed because I am not going to be that guy, right, that can't get the door open. Right,
Eric has to get out, go around, and open it for you.
Dude, it gets worse, right? It gets worse. So anyway, and your adrenaline's going right there because it was a real city we were in. They blocked off all these people, blocked them off. So there's hundreds and hundreds of people watching you, right? So, helicopters, everyone's watching, it's a big scene. We were riding along, driving along. Okay, go, go, go. So I get out and I'm like, great. I didn't fall. I didn't lock the door on myself. I didn't fall over. Awesome. And so the car at that point, the Humvee's right next to the wall. And what they said was, and we didn't rehearse this, they go, jump on the hood, jump on the roof, go over the wall. Fine. So Eric gets out and he's got his like little M4, he slings it, jumps onto the hood, onto the roof and over the wall like an absolute stud. And then I realized the size of the weapon I've got, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll sling it. No, it's not a good idea.
Nope.
No.
It's big.
I slung it, and you've got all this weight pulling you back like that.
Yep.
So I try and get up. I know it sounds stupid. I'm trying to get up onto the hood, and it's pulling me back. And I've got like 2 ammo pouches as well. They have the drums on them, right? So you have drums with a saw. And so I've got these 2 ammo pouches, and everything's pulling me back. And I come back, like I go, and then I'm like, oh shit. So I run back up and I try and get up again. I can't do it. I cannot get on. And I kid you not, a Czech stunt guy comes round and pushes my butt underneath like this to try and get me on the hood. And I'm like, I'm not going to say a swear word. I was like, will you get off me? Like, and anyway, so they go, cut, because the helicopters were running out of gas.
Wow, you're holding up the whole thing there, Mark.
Everything. Right. And but they come over and they're crying. Like our tech advisor, Harry Humphreys, was crying with laughter. And Terry, who was the first AD, was laughing. And I was going, screw you, the stronger words, like, because I just, somewhere there's the footage of me looking like a complete idiot. But what that
guy's just getting himself 2 handfuls of Marsden right there.
Oh, and he was going like that. And so what happened was John Collette, who was a real ranger and is a real ranger and was there in Mogadishu. He was with us. And Harry Humphreys goes, show this actor, because I have a great, show this actor how you get on. You can't get on that Humvee like that with it slung. You have to put the weapon on and jump up, and then the weapon on again and jump up. You cannot get up with it behind you because we've got the K-pop, we've got the I've got the ceramic vest. It's a lot of weight, and you just can't move. I mean, so we should have rehearsed it, but anyway. So as a consequence, I shot that on the last day of production. So I was on the 2nd day of production and the last day of production.
Wow. And for those in the audience that want to see this weapon, in 2008 or 9, I took my family to Las Vegas and went to one of those crazy tourist gun places because you can shoot anything in Nevada. It's pretty much all legal. Here's just a 20-second video of me shooting one of these. I love this weapon. I read about it online. Then I found out they had it in Vegas. And I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this or not, but let's see. Here it is. Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here she is.
Oh yeah.
I think this was like $60 for like 5 seconds worth of ammo.
Yeah, America.
Let's go.
I'm telling you, I went to Vegas. I shot an AK-47, and that's what I did because I never shot one. So I just get a couple like 3-round bursts just to get a feel for it, and then you land in that thing. Oh man, nobody.
I had never fired a gun in my life, and then I started with the squad assault weapon.
That was your first time?
First time shooting a gun. I shot BB guns and pellet guns. I'd never fired a gun before in my life. But then my wife shot an AK that day, and one of the casings flew off, went into my safety goggles, and was burning the side of my head.
Yeah,
wow.
Been there.
Yeah,
I did a front sight training a couple years ago, and the person next to me, the shell went down my back and got caught in my ass crack. So everybody got a laugh out of that except me until later. So working on the set with these guys, with the military guys who were, who were actual military, like you mentioned, who were special forces and everything. How was it being around those guys, because when I was on the ship, we had a SEAL team come on and do some training. And when you're around those guys, it's not like they're big and bad and talking shit, because the real ones don't talk about it. The real ones are silent. But there's an aura that they give off. There's just their presence, knowing what they've done and also knowing what they had to do to get there. The training they had to go through, the schools they had to go through. How was it being around, some real live heroes?
I mean, it was a great honor. I mean, you got to remember when we shot Black Hawk down, September 11th hadn't happened.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, the guys that were on that, and so there weren't that many engagements, right? Like previous to 2000. So I think the Mogadishu, what happened, in Mogadishu was probably the last major one we'd had before then, like urban combat, right? I think I don't know when Grenada was, or
89.
All right,
Yeah,
89. So that was before that. Iran was before that. So Black Hawk Down was like the last major engagement. And although the ninjas, the Delta guys and the SF guys were still active doing other stuff. Having those guys that had been there in that particular operation was incredibly humbling. And then to see them, to work with them, and then see them go off to war, a couple of years later was really quite something. It changed my life, and it made me want to dedicate more of my time to veterans and veterans causes. They're quite professionals, right? Like Lee Van Arsdale, who was on set, amazing guy, Delta guy. The Rangers that were on, who were obviously, they were a little bit older, because back then the Rangers be 19, 20, 21 years old, really, really young. And so the guys that were on, Kenny Thomas didn't come with us, but I did meet him at Fort Benning. Lovely guy. John Collette was with us. And then, so we had Harry Humphreys, who was a SEAL Team 2 guy from the Vietnam War. He was a Silver Star recipient and knew Richard Marchenko really well. And he was our tech advisor. So we were surrounded by like the best. And it just changed my life. I think, training with the Army Rangers changed my life.
Yeah.
Because they were so selfless and wanting to do it for the country, for freedom, is what they told me, which was unbelievable. So yeah, that was a big moment in my life and changed it forever.
So were you living in the States at that time in 2000? We guys filmed this in 2000?
Yeah, we filmed it. No, I wasn't. So I came up. So what basically happened was I did the movie with Michael Caine, and he was up for an Oscar for Side House Rules. And so everyone's like, oh, who's this? I say kid, I was 27, but who's this guy that's like, just won this award? As you said earlier on, Gabe, was a singer. And I was also auditioning for Star Wars at that point.
Really? What were you?
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't tell us.
Binks? No way. No.
Misa. No, they
Lisa ruined the movie.
Yeah. So I don't know. They didn't tell us. From my recollection, because you got to remember now, we're looking at it in hindsight. I was like super, super excited because I was a massive Star Wars fan, and so what they would do is they would send me audition piece. I'd do it, and they'd be like, "Okay, you're through to the next round." I'm like, "Okay," and then they'd send me another one. They would go, "Okay, you're through to the next round," and so I just kept going and going and going. And of course,
random Star Wars dialogue. It wasn't a character,
No, because what they'll do is they'll give you, someone will write up a scene.
Oh, okay.
Like, just if they want to keep it quiet, they'll just write up a scene that has absolutely nothing. When I auditioned for Superman, they gave me the original scene when he's on the balcony and he's looking. He says, "I can't see through lead." That's the one they gave us for that. And I was like, you shouldn't give an actor that, because it was done perfectly the first time by Christopher Reeve, right? It's in everyone's head.
Right.
So, but they've been, you get a reputation in Hollywood, and so people are like, who is this person? And so I had a few managers actually fly to London to meet me, and I met with a couple of them. And the second one, I really felt like I had a connection with it. She made a lot of sense with the way that I wanted to pursue my career. And she said, "We'd love to have you over in the United States." So this would be, I guess, maybe early 2000, I think.
And you were on
Maybe 99.
that British soap opera, Coronation Street, that had ended at this time, or were you doing movies?
Yes. So I was on Coronation Street from March 3rd, which was my birthday in 1997, for 1 year, and had massive success. Like won this thing over. It's National Television Awards. Just had huge success. But I knew that if I always wanted to do other things. I always wanted to challenge myself. And so I knew that if I stayed there, which would have been very comfortable and I would have made a ton of money. So just kind of giving you an idea of how many people watch that show. 19 million people watching it per night when I was on it. 19 million. It was just massive.
And how many people live in there? Like 40, 50 million, right?
It was 50 million.
So like a third of the country or more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's actually more than that.
You couldn't get a coffee. You couldn't get
that's what I was going to say. Like, what if you wanted to go catch a movie, or you wanted to go to the park? Or
it was.
How did your parents react to that? Like,
it was difficult, I think. But I mean, I was in. So I would go up every day. I'd go up every day. I'd walk out the studios, and I'd walk and I'd go and get a sandwich and a drink. And I'd come back, and then I'd do it again every day. So you filmed 6 weeks ahead on that show. So I'll go up and I'll go back. I'll go up and go back. And I'm doing this for 6 weeks, right? My episode drops. I'm like, oh, my episode's dropped. Go out, boom, like just crazy. Couldn't go out. I'm like, oh, I can't get my sandwich anymore. Like, that's over. That is over. And, paparazzi. I mean, like, seriously, because a new producer had come in and he was shaking things up. So I was part of the new guard that was coming in and shaking it all up. And so I got a massive amount of attention from the press. Couldn't get away from it. It got to a point where, this is no joke. One day I went to, there's a store in the UK called Marks and Spencer's. They call it Marks and Sparks. It's kind of like, if you get your food there, it's kind of like going to Whole Foods, right? So it was Christmas Eve, I think it was, or the night before Christmas Eve, and I hadn't got a turkey because that's what the Brits eat, turkey on Christmas Eve. Not at Thanksgiving, because we don't have Thanksgiving, so we have turkey. So I was like, okay. I looked at my buddy, and I always keep it real. Like, my best friend then was a builder. So I was like, all right, listen, I've got to go and get a turkey. And he hadn't experienced any of it, right? Because he's living his life and whatever. I said, we're going to go in, we're going to go to Marks and Spencer's, and we're going to leave. He goes, okay. So I got cap on, hood, everything. I go in and I walk in, and it's late because it's late opening because it's Christmas. And I walk in, I get my turkey, I walk up, and I get to the checkout, and I'm there with my buddy. In fact, he recounted this story to me when I went back to the UK last year and I saw him. And someone goes, it's Marsden. It's Marsden. And all of a sudden, it was like, whoom! Like we couldn't get out. So we were stuck in between, in the middle of the, in between two checkouts. And my buddy started having a panic attack because there was so many people. Yeah, there's so many people. I mean, I'm not just talking like 10 or 15. I'm talking about, because the checkout was right near to where you left the store, right? So everyone's sort of like, oh, what's going on? And then it just got more and more and more and more. To give you an idea, and it's kind of hard for, even my kids don't understand this, and a lot of people don't understand it in America. And even now, it's been 25 years. But I turned the Christmas lights on in that town, and 27,000 people turned up.
Wow.
Damn.
27,000. So I was going down on a train. This is true. I was going down on a train.
Wow.
I'm so stupid and like naive. I was going down on this train and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull into Warsaw and I'm going to go and I'm going to turn on the Christmas lights, blah, blah. And I get there and there's a full on police escort for me. I'm like, who's coming? Like, and they were like, oh, no. You got no idea. And here's the funny thing. There are people that remember it. Like there are people that will watch this that were there that will remember it. But I don't have any press cuttings of it because it was just like, oh, okay, that's another week. All right. So you just move on. So it was really, really crazy. So anyway, I got massive fame there, which when I came to America, I did bigger things, but got less famous, which is kind of weird. But so I came over in, I don't know if it was 99, maybe it was 99 because we shot it in 2000, March of 2000. So yeah, I came over in 99 and within a week I got Black Hawk Down.
Wow.
Like, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in those situations where there's just literally throngs of fans, and even throughout your music and your soap opera career, what age group would you say were the craziest fans? Was it like
I have a guess. I'm gonna hold it, but I have a guess.
Was it like, maybe 30 to 40-year-olds? Like who was the most ravenous?
I think
before you say anything, I'm gonna write it down on a sheet of paper so you know I'm not lying.
Because
I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I'm not going to show you.
Because music, it's very personal. People are in their bedrooms, or they're going through a breakup or something, or they're happy. Like music is very powerful. And then with the soap opera, was it that?
It was. But it's like a national treasure, like everyone
for
used to watch
60
it.
years.
And like every week. So you're a part of people's lives. They look forward to this. They're grabbing popcorn. They're talking about it. Right. So who would you say in that span were just nuts?
Well, okay. So what was funny about that was in the show that I did, I was a young soldier. I was actually a soldier that came back to be a mechanic. And in the show, I have an affair with the mechanic's wife.
Your boss's wife?
Yeah, but he cheated on her. No, he cheated on her. Right? He cheated on her.
He deserved it.
And I was in the show. I was consoling her. And
you're consoling her. I'm sorry you're going through this.
Yeah, like But
right?
she was,
sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Bam. But she was older than me. And so I got an influx of fan mail. Like I get a lot of fan mail from older women.
The coos.
I wrote 50s. Women in their 50s.
Yeah, well, there were, women of 50. Well, it's, I don't know, like, it was crazy for me. Like, on this Me Too stuff, like, you go out and you go to a club and it was insane. Like, I couldn't, a lot of the time I had to go out with a couple of guys and of course there's every dude wants to fight you. Mm-hmm.
Jealous.
There's that. So that was difficult. But actually the women were pretty respectful. I mean, I used to get my ass grabbed all the time. Like I'd walk past and people would like, grab it and whatever.
Or the Thai stuntman would grab your behind too.
Yeah, because you couldn't get over the damn hood.
So, but it was just one of those things because when you're in it, it's like you guys tomorrow. It's like literally, if this happened to you tomorrow, how would you deal with it? And you're not prepared for it. You're just not. And it's almost like you're having this like out of body experience. Like this really isn't me.
Let me ask you this, because this is you're saying when you meet Michael Caine and Ridley Scott and all them, you respect them, but you don't revere and suck up and kiss ass. They're just guys, and I feel the same way. Having met famous comic book artists and writers, like I respect you. It's great what you did, but I'm not going to sit here and kiss your ass. You also feel the same way about yourself, don't you? Like I'm just Matthew. I'm a good actor, but you don't need to worship me. You know what I mean? Like,
it can be uncomfortable. It can. I guess one of the things that was the most difficult for me, and I'm sure you got this in your world, is that you think that people like you because you're a nice person or you're a good person. And that's complete bullshit, right? And you find that later on. And I think that was difficult for me, that was really difficult because I've always been a person that has given, like I'll help people when I can. And then so you're like, okay, I mean, this is it, right? I kind of think I'm a nice person, a good person. And I mean, in comparison to Mother Teresa, I'm not, but and then you realize that it's just a very, very lonely place because people only see you as that person because you can't get away from it, right? I mean, look, it's the same when you talk about Dean. Like, Dean was Superman for a whole generation of people.
Right.
He defined something for them. I mean, I didn't do that. I wasn't as iconic as he is by any stretch of the imagination. But he's still just an actor, and I'm just an actor, and we kind of do it, and we get the roles, and these things happen, and we're not really prepared for it. And that's why when you look at someone like a Dean Cain or someone who's had this, huge amounts of fame, and they still retain humility.
Yeah,
it's a miracle. And that's why it does get me, especially if you get cancelled, right? So if you stand up for what you believe in, like you said, you stand up for what you believe in, and then you get cancelled, and then you don't work. And then the liberals go, well, what happened to your career? I'm like, you killed it. Right? That's what happened to it. You killed it. So don't be coming to me now and going, oh, well, what happened to your career? Because I can literally plot with my career until they interfered in it. You can see it's there. It's plotted out.
It's so insidious too, because there's no way to sue or make it right because
you can't do anything about
the phone quits ringing, the email stopped coming, and there's no way to prove it. But everyone knows
they just don't call you. They just don't call you, and that's the difficult thing. When it comes to, are they being prejudiced? Because all they've got to do is just say, he's not right for the role. We didn't think he was this. Or like you say, oh no, we're not, all the roles are gone now. We're not seeing anyone for that. And we know they're lying. I'd rather them just come out and say, you know what, I don't agree with what you believe in.
Yeah, at least
I'd much rather hear that.
Yeah.
But they don't have the integrity they don't have the integrity to do that, or the decency. But let me ask you this, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's say, because the pendulum always swings in the other direction. So all this woke bullshit and men can be women just because you say it, just because you wake up and squeeze your size 11.5 into a pump, you're a woman, whatever. So the pendulum swings the other way and it reaches Hollywood. How do you think you would react if those people who stopped contacting you because of your beliefs were, hey, man, hey, you look great. How you been? We have this role and you'd be perfect. If they kind of came crawling back to you, does the actor in you, there's that famous cereal, Frosted Mini Wheats. And on one side, it's the frosted side. That's the kid and it's playful. On the other side, you got the wheat side. It's a little more buttoned up. So if the actor in you is saying, this is what you do, this is who, this is, you're an actor. And let's say it's something that really speaks to your theater roots. The actor in you says, Matt, this is what we do, man. Let's go. But then you have the man, Matt, who stands on his principles and his morals. And this is why I flipped you bastards the bird in the first place. So how do you kind of think, do you think you would struggle with that? Or which side, would your frosted side win or your wheat side?
Well, firstly, I don't think that will ever happen, right? I mean, genuinely, I think that they would never, ever, ever say that they were wrong. They just won't. I mean, you've seen it with Disney. They're just doubling down and tripling down. They can't do it, and they will never have the humility. It's funny, I saw it, and I know this cannot be mentioned on YouTube, so I won't, but I posted something on social media, and the reaction was unbelievable. Like, they haven't learned from what has happened over the past 5 years, right?
It was insane.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, go and look on Twitter or X. But they haven't learned. So here's the thing. As a man, I have to be big enough to forgive someone, right? It doesn't mean you have to forget it. It doesn't mean I have to agree with it. It also doesn't mean I'm going to just take anything. So it would have to be the right kind of project. I mean, like you say, it's what I do. I'm an actor. Do I miss doing it? Yeah, of course I do. I mean, I've done it my entire life. The only time I stopped doing it was when the woke brigade came. So, would I take money that is, how can I put this? How can I put like blood money? Not blood money, but you know what I mean. Like, no, I would
Dirty,
never.
dirty money.
Tainted a little
Dirty
bit.
money, tainted money. No, I'd never do that. I would never do that. And the funny thing is, if I would have done it already. I don't think people truly understand that.
Well, Matthew, you know this. I worked for Warner Brothers, and I didn't say anything political because that wasn't my job. And I just made the comic books. I did a great job. They loved me. And it dawned on me, even though I'm Christian conservative, I just had the realization, oh, I'm half Mexican and half Libyan, and I work for Warner Brothers. If I just say woke shit on YouTube and Twitter and how much I hate the white man in America, I'll be a vice president in 4 years.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Movie, and I'm not even joking. They would just push me right up the ladder. Oh, an Arab, a Mexican, oh, because they're my white savior saving me, the executives there. And it did cross my mind, like, oh, I could just be a phony asshole, just be the boss. I could just move right up. And even though you're white, Matthew, you still could have done it to the white version of it, where you just say the damn words and they'll give you the money and the shows and all of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, you can. Sorry, go on, Jericho.
But then you have, again, your wheat side. That's the man. That's who you are. Could you take that and then look yourself in the face?
Look my kids in the eyes.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
We go to church, Dad. We do this, and you're up there saying that.
And you got a lot of eyes. You got a lot of eyes to look into, man.
Yeah, a lot of eyes. Yeah. No, I mean, but that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's like I've said. Sometimes is it difficult? I'll be lying if I said it wasn't. I loved what I did. I've done things. You know, if you said that, like, you know, the amount of people that want to go out and do what you guys do, and they never get to do it, and I got to do it, and I got to do it at the highest level. Do I miss it? Of course I do. I miss making great stuff. Something like Black Hawk Down that will live forever. Means so much to so many people, and you want to do that. Like that's the whole point. I got into the industry, so there's part of me that misses that, and every now and then I'll get very frustrated about it. And then you have to remember that God has your back, right? And I don't know, and this is something that has become more apparent to me as I've got older. It's sad that you have to get old to get wisdom. Like it's sad. But I look back and I'm like, what did you save me from? Like, what was that stopping me from? And you don't know, because that's the multiverse, right? That the other Gabe, the other Jericho took the other route, right? And
the pink-haired Gabe with problem glasses, who's an executive at Warner Brothers.
Exactly. That. So, you know, I look and I say, my friend Tim Clemente said something to me when I got. A few years ago, I was just like, you know what, this is so wrong. Like, you know, just I wasn't vocal like you weren't for all those years, but you kind of this tolerance. There's no tolerance, right? And it gets to me sometimes. I was like, you know, it shouldn't rob you of your ability to be able to make a living or do what you love to do. But that is the world that we live in right now. And he said to me, and it was one of the greatest things. I'm gonna ask people on your chat. Every one of you.
We got 110 watching right now, guys. Hit the like and follow Matthew on YouTube. Follow him.
All right, I'm gonna ask him right now. Would you swap your life with anyone else's? Genuinely, if you had a moment, if a genie popped up, and the genie said, "What?"
No, go for it.
Oh, sorry. If a genie popped up and he said you could have another life, you can have someone else's life. You can abandon your life, the life that you have now. Would you do it?
Never.
And I wouldn't. No way.
No.
You know why I wouldn't? It's 2 words. My family. To take the chance of maybe in this new life I would have had a wife and kids, but not them.
Yeah.
And to live a life where they're not in it, man.
No way.
Hell no. And I like being me. I like what I've done. I like the, you know, most of the choices I've made in life. We all have someone we'd like to go back and, put some white out over that one. But no, man, the kids, the relationship you have with them and seeing how they are and the people they are and the love you feel for them. No, man, I'm definitely riding this one out. But
it's amazing though, isn't it? When you think about it. So I can normally with people's lives that it's a much more of a nuanced moment that change came, right? It's a nuanced moment. Like it might be, do I go to the concert this weekend, or do I do this, or do I do that? Oh, God bless him. Look at that. That is awesome.
That's all it's about.
Yeah. So
sorry.
No,
dude,
no,
come on.
Later.
So with me, I can point to a specific point in time. So I got an offer for a movie. It was a movie called Wrong Turn. And I'd been made the offer, and they said, this is when, you start knowing you're doing well in Hollywood, because you don't even have to audition. You just call you up and say, do you want to do this movie? Wow. So they asked me if I wanted to do the movie, and I said, okay, let me read it. And they were like, well, all you got to do is come over and meet the director. They're going to fly you out first class on Friday. Come and meet the director. He just wants to meet you, but it's a formality. I was like, okay. The next day I get a call. They go, you're not coming to LA. They said, we've got an offer for Helen of Troy. And I was like, Helen of Troy? I'm like, go and be a lead in a movie and bounce off, and it was I met with Harry Winston. Is it Harry Winston? Who's the guy who makes the monsters?
Oh, Ray Harryhausen.
No, not him.
Oh, Stan Winston.
Stan Winston. I always get it
Ray
right.
Harryhausen was like 60 years ago.
Winston. Yeah, he was the one that did like the Clash of the Titans, right?
Right.
Stan Winston. I met with him. I'm like, oh my goodness me! Like I'm talking to Stan Winston. Like this is crazy. And he was telling me how they're making the monsters and all this, and I'm like, this is it. I've made it. And then the call came in, and they were like, yeah, we're going off for Helen of Troy. It's in Malta, and it's more money. And Jerry Butler had done Attila the year before. It was USA Network. And so they said, we think you should take that. We think it's better for your career to do that. And so I did. Now, then I met my wife in Malta. So right. So it's a specific time. I can remember when I decided which movie I was going to do. I was going to go to Vancouver. I think it was Vancouver. Or I was going to go to Malta. And I went to Malta. So that was literally like, the time where the multiverse split for Marsden, and there's another Marsden out there with, I probably got a bunch of kids in the other world as well. But it's normally a lot more subtle, right? It's the little decisions that you make, which is still true. But that, because it was such a dramatic thing, I think we can point to it in big decisions that we make. Are we going to buy that house? Or we're not going to buy that house in our lives? But a lot of times when you're talking about moving on and things that genuinely really change your life, like kids, it's a decision whether or not you went to the bar that night, or whether or not you went to church that day and you met the girl, or whether you wanted to speak to that person. You know what I mean? It's amazing. And so I tend to look back at my life now like that and say, because right now I wouldn't swap what I have for anything.
No.
Not a career, certainly not a career. With that, I was always, look, Gabe, you know this. You were always going to end up booted out, dude. It was always going to happen. It was just a matter of when.
I kind of knew it. After when Trump got elected. See, you were in big Hollywood. I was in little Hollywood, because the company DC Comics, Marvel, it's all owned by Disney and Warner Brothers. So it's a micro version. The egos there are weird. The people think that they're like Hollywood, like, guys, we're comics. It's kind of different. But the day after he won, I got an email from the editor-in-chief at DC Comics, this lady, telling me not to worry, because I'm Mexican and Libyan, but I'm an American, damn it, I'm from here, telling me not to worry, that people like her would protect people like me from Trump and his...
Are you serious? Are you serious?
I have the email still. I have the email. It's for me not to worry. And in my head, I'm like, I voted for him. Like, I didn't tell her, like, I voted for the guy. He's not going to get me. He's going to help me.
Thank God she was there to protect you and people of your shade and darker.
Well, she's
Yeah,
still
because
there,
you guys
driving
are
the
just
company
not
into the ditch.
capable.
Well, just like when I was at Trader Joe's when Trump got elected, and there are these people. I've mentioned this to you, Gabe, but people had the
I love
safety
this.
pins on their lapel, and if you saw somebody with a safety pin on their lapel, you knew that they were somebody. They were safe. You know, so if I was dealing with, you know, an evil, blue-eyed white man like
Right.
yourself, man, I could run to them, to
Right.
their bosom, and they would protect me. They would
Yeah, 'cause
protect me from
you-
I'm not sure what, but you know, they were.
Because
they
you
would
look at
protect
you, Jericho. What a weak man you are! Like, I mean, it
And
is just hilarious
Oh,
to
while
me.
you're here, Matthew, since you are white, can you tell me and Jericho where we can get ID? Because that's what they said, that guys like us, they don't have ID when you vote.
or can't
Right,
use
yeah,
the internet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
well,
how do all you white guys get your driver's license? And
well,
like, where do
because
you get it?
yeah, you guys don't know how to make it to the DMV, right?
What is it?
So-
Wait. What is the DMV?
The D and what?
The DNV or MV?
You guys.
You know what's
I
funny?
mean, it's so insulting. I mean, I can't honestly. When I'm sitting there and you hear them say stuff, right, and you're like, "Can you hear yourself?" It's like
It feels
I
like
think
this. It feels like, oh, you little
Yeah.
guy.
we said this last time, right? Affirmative action is so racist. It is
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Rah," and I'm like, you don't. By the way, I don't know if I told you this the last time we were on. I got into it with someone because I said that woman, like, it was disgusting. That woman who lied to get a PhD
Mhm.
at Harvard. Right?
Which one? You're gonna have to narrow it
Yeah,
down.
well, exactly. The one that
The
got
president.
booted, the president.
Yeah.
And someone was like, you're just afraid, because it's a powerful black woman. And I'm like, listen, let me
Yes.
break it down to you. Do you know how many black people actually work their asses off for things? And she's denying someone who really did work for it from getting the job. It's not just me. It's not like the white man, right? It's anyone that is going for that job, including black people and brown people. Look, I'm so sick of this. Like, this is Obama just wrecked this country with race.
Didn't
Like,
he?
it is just, I don't want to talk about it. I hate it so much because, but they just keep shoving it down our necks every day, and they're so patronizing. I mean, I can't imagine what it is like. Actually, I can't imagine what it's like for someone who is Mexican or who is black that has to deal with this bullshit
here's the
every
thing.
day.
The reason I'm gonna speak to you, Jericho. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason Jericho and I are different on this is because I don't see myself as Mexican and Arab. I see myself as a husband first, a Christian, a father, an American, which is not a race, it's an ideology. And then, like, oh yeah, I happen to have Mexican and Libyan heritage. But I see myself as all those other things first. An artist, a business owner, you know what I mean, a grandfather. I see myself as that first. I love the Mexican heritage. I don't know shit about the Arab heritage. Thank you, socialist dictator Gaddafi. But it's not. I'm not going to identify myself that way. It's silly. It's really silly.
It's just the container that we come in.
Right.
If I handed you a Tupperware container full of $100,000, do you really care about the Tupperware container? You'd be focused on the $100,000 that's inside of it. And you know what that's like, the bigotry of low expectations, the pat on the head. It's like somebody hugging you that you don't want to hug you. Get off of me. Get off of me. Get away from me. Don't touch me. Keep your bullshit away from me. It's so insulting and it pisses me off. I have an extra level of hate for the black folks who partake in this, who allow themselves to be patted on the head, to actually think that because somebody is a different shade, they're superior to you. You're the one who believes in white supremacy. You're supporting white supremacy because you think that white people are superior to you just for being white.
And then if you bring that up,
ridiculous.
Yeah, but if you bring that up, then they'll say, "Oh, well, it's because white people taught us to be like that." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
And then again, that's more racism, that white people can control me and Jericho's thoughts.
Yeah,
it's so insulting. Like, they don't even realize what they're doing.
White people. Every white person has that little swirly medallion like this, and they get all black people
sleepy. I think for me, I lucked out. Obviously, coming from a Christian family is number one for me, the values I have. But being half Mexican, but not like La Raza, being half Libyan, but not like ensconced in it,
Latinx.
and then being very, very American, I see like Neo seeing the Matrix, like, oh, these distinctions are bullshit. Like the Mexican part of me, the Arab, there's no difference. We're just people. We just want to protect our family and have some prosperity and have a good life. That's like human. It's universal, you know? So I think
but we can't be controlled, can we, if we think like that? So they've got to keep keep balkanizing us. And what they do, and this has actually been a really great thing, because I think we've seen it, especially, well, in both the Black and the Hispanic communities with Trump. I think that what has happened now is people are seeing through it, right? They're seeing through it. They're like, hang on a minute, because it's like anything, right? Like when you're a kid, right? You want to save up, or let's listen to that. When you're a kid, so in England, or you can't wait until you're 18, right? Because you're 18, you can go and have a drink, right? And then you're a man, you can go and have a drink, and you wait 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 and you get it, and you're like, oh, okay. Okay. And I think that that's what's happened, because I think that people tend to focus on an issue, right? They want to, certainly if you don't have God in your life, right? You search for meaning. And so when you're looking for meaning, and people who can have God in their life can also be doing this, but especially that. So if you're looking for this cause or meaning to your life, you can be like, okay, well, it's oppression. It's oppression. And then there comes a point where you're like, hang on a minute, I am not oppressed. Right. Like, I'm not oppressed. And what are you doing? Like, talking to me like I'm an infant. And people are like clued up now to it. They're seeing it. Right. And I think that certainly you're seeing it in the Black community massively, like massively. Right. And I think, I mean, I was so disappointed with Stephen A. Smith, the way he came out with that like apology the other day.
They cracked that whip.
Dude, he's done it twice. He did it before. He said, and what he said, by the way, was absolutely true when he said, what's voting for another guy going to do? How's it going to harm you? Like, your communities are shit anyway. Like, they're terrible. Nothing's happened over the past 40 years to help you. Why don't you? I'm paraphrasing.
Well, something has happened. It's got worse.
It's got worse. Yeah. So you vote for the other guy. Just see, 80% of the vote going one way hasn't got you anywhere. And by the way, you're going to get me on
95%, not 80, 95%. And he got a secondhand whip cracking, because the people who came down on him the hardest were the NAACP. My dad would always tell me, son, they may be your color, but they ain't your kind. So somebody cracked the whip on them, and then they cracked the whip on him.
Disappointing. It's so disappointing.
It's you just neutered yourself. If you're going to say it, be a man and stick behind it. Don't 48 hours later, oh, well, this is what I really meant, and I'm sorry. Then why'd you say it in the first place?
And they're not going to accept you. They're not accepting you back, right? Yeah. They'll bring that up at the next possible opportunity they can get to shove you out the door. I mean, it is so disappointing. And again, I just wish, look, I tweeted this again today. I keep saying tweet. I can't say post or X, but it's very rare that people just say it and stick by it, right? Especially in entertainment. Do what you've done. They don't do
apologize. My only regret with insulting DC Comics and exposing them is that I didn't do it harder and I didn't do it sooner. Okay, I'm not apologizing because I did nothing wrong. They're disgusting what they do. So
I wish there's something I could think of. I wish I did harder and sooner.
Hey, he's like, I gotta go, guys.
but that just it's incredibly frustrating for me, especially if like you have any kind of, not that this is a qualifier anyway, but like, if you've got kids. So look, I was in a very interesting position because my grandfather came over from Ireland to England, and there was a war going on, and people just dismiss it. There's a war going on. The IRA was bombing England, and my grandfather was an Irish Catholic, and he was the one that raised me with my mom and my grandmother. So basically I had an Irish dad, right? I mean, that like first generation Irish dad. and the pub bombings went on in Birmingham in the 1970s. It wasn't a pleasant place to be for an Irishman. And people don't think about this a lot of the time because, oh, he's not a different color. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's a white guy. But look, the Germans and the English are the same color, and they were still warring with each other, right? So there can be tensions, and there can be prejudices, even obviously clearly within someone's own race. So I kind of saw that when I was younger, and it puzzled me, because like my granddad, he's my granddad, and I'm English, but he's Irish. Why does that matter? You know what I mean? I don't know if that like kind of formed my opinion on this at an early age.
Definitely.
Because I couldn't kind of grasp it. And so when I came to America and I saw this all going out, because my oldest son is mixed race, and my kids. So I've got a kid from previous relationship and 8 kids with my wife, and she's Maltese, so they're like a right mix. I mean, all you got to do is look at the mix of the Maltese. I mean, so if I was to show you my 23andMe, I am like whiter than white. Like you are talking to the whitest guy in the world. It's just England, right? It's like that. Boom. 23andMe is like that. My wife's like a Jackson Pollock painting all over the Levant and like North Africa. She's all over the place because of the way it was with the Maltese. So my kids are, I always say they're the future of the world because they're a mix of everything. And that's where it's going to end up eventually, right? So to me, I don't understand this. I don't understand the way that they behave, and I think it's abhorrent. And if you have kids, you have skin in the game. It's not just about us anymore, right? It's not just about us. So I guess that's what I'm saying is I think that I have kind of like a bit of a unique perspective of it. It's not like I grew up in the UK and, I mean, I didn't have a dad, but if I grew in the UK in like a white middle class suburban area, and then I married a white middle class suburban woman, my life has been like, and I think that when you have something like that, I mean, everyone should have it anyway, but when you have an experience like that, you can kind of, you're not encumbered by guilt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel any guilt because of slavery. What the fuck has that got to do with me? It's got nothing to do with me, right? I'm sorry. It's got nothing to do with me.
People that looked like you a long time ago.
Long time ago.
I love how they leave out the part where every fucking race on this planet has enslaved and killed each other for thousands of years. They leave that out.
And by the way, they're doing it right now. There's more slavery right now in sub-Saharan Africa, right, than ever before.
I saw a video within the last 10 years of my dad's home country, Libya, black men sitting, hands tied behind the back, being sold as slaves in Libya after Obama and all them overthrew the government there. Literally, the first black president recreated black slavery in Africa. Good job.
The irony.
But we should be past that anyway. It's so great to talk about it because I feel like so many people are afraid of it, and they shouldn't be afraid of it, because if you've got a pure heart, if you know inside that you do not harbor any ill will or prejudice or any, I mean, look, we all harbor some kind of prejudice, right? Like we do. Everyone does. That's normal. I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, like, someone will have a view of someone, or someone will have a view, which I'll guarantee you I do, of liberals, right? So, and them.
I don't like people that eat creamy peanut butter. So, there you go. This is a very unfunny joke of mine from last week's episode. Everyone, hold on. I'll let you go back to the racism thing. Chunky peanut butter or creamy, Matthew? Please say
chunky. Come on.
There you go.
Oh, man.
The star of stage and screen agrees with me, Jericho, in your face.
I'm out of here.
It's
Thank you
crunchy,
very much.
of course.
Signing off.
Matthew, I put a poll up. Most of the crowd, they're creamy boys. They love creamy.
Yeah, Team Cream.
They're Team Cream is what they call themselves.
Team Cream. You guys have savage mouths.
We love the.
Oh, so I have a question for you then.
Oh, he just called you an anti-creamite.
The worst label.
That's funny. So,
Good job.
so I'd never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich until I did Transformers.
What?
And Yeah, and I was with a bunch of
Damn.
Navy SEALs. I was with a bunch of Navy SEAls because on a movie like that, you have like giant craft service, right? You have this giant craft service, which is basically a big truck that has everything you want in, any food you want, any drink you want. And the SEAls were like, they have the protein bars, and then they were like, I think I'm gonna have a peanut butter sandwich. And I went, what is that like? And it was like I just like dropped a nuclear bomb. They were like, what?
You're so lucky
and I said,
to experience that for the first time, because
I know.
Me and Jericho have been eating those since we were probably 2-3 years old or whatever.
But I was like, well, I've never had one, and they literally went, I'm going to make you one right now. So it still went off. They made me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I get what it's all about. But let me ask you a question: do you butter it or not?
You can, and it enhances it even more.
But a standard PB&J is just PB&J, and you probably understand this, Matt, but I just want to make sure. In America, a PB&J spans racial, financial
It unites
lines.
us all.
Everybody has PB&J. Now, if you got a little more money, maybe your bread's a little nicer. Maybe you got some natural peanut butter from Whole Foods. Maybe
use
whatever.
Justin's peanut butter.
Right.
But everybody has PB&J growing up here, and that's kind of the perfect segue to a question I wanted to ask you.
Ooh,
Okay.
We're going to get into the 3-hour food segment of the show. We talk about a lot of food.
There you go.
Kind of two questions. Number one, when did you, being from another country, but when did you feel American? Because I feel like you are, not only just because you live here, but your beliefs, your ideals.
I know.
But when did you feel American? Like this is my country. These are my people. These are my countrymen.
That is
no
brilliant.
longer.
He was halfway up the hood of a Humvee with this guy's little hands on his butt.
On my butt.
So this is what America feels like.
You know what? It's a great question, and again, I can point to a specific time. But I've always loved this country, and I didn't know why. Right? I just always had this attraction to it. And when I came over here and I worked with the Army Rangers, I just loved it more and more. And actually, September the 11th happened, and I saw the patriotism and everyone being united, and I was just like, this is amazing. So it just I just fell in love with it more and more and more. But I felt like I was like at the zoo, in the sense that I was like behind glass, and I couldn't touch it. It wasn't mine. It was really frustrating. Because I felt American all the way through, like every time I hear the anthem, I want to cry. It just moves me. I don't know why. It's not like I'm a snowflake, but the patriotism is just so moving to me. And so I went and when I got my citizenship, and I drove out. I was in downtown LA, and I drove out, and the 101.
So I was on it yesterday.
Okay. So on the 101, and I looked over at the mountains, and I went, this is my country.
These are mine.
This is mine.
Wow.
It's mine.
Chill.
And I felt it, dude. I felt it. It felt different. And I was like, this is my country now. And I've got a mental picture of looking out of my truck and seeing those, and I'd seen those mountains 1,000 times, right, in Burbank. Like, you've seen them 1,000 times. And that was it.
And you were in a truck.
Damn
I
right.
was in a truck. Yeah, I was in a truck. Yeah.
I recommend, I don't know, maybe you've heard it before, but even if it's been a while, if you want goosebumps and you want to get a little misty-eyed, somebody's cutting onions.
We don't cry. It's onions.
I recommend you listen to Whitney Houston's version of the national anthem. That is every 4th of July at the end of our little fireworks show at the end of my driveway. I play that song, and it gives me goosebumps every single time. That is, I think some people say Chris Stapleton, and he did a great job. But Whitney Houston,
she's the greatest of all time. We
were in the Gulf War. It's Whitney Houston, the effortless nature, not in a disrespectful way, but it was just like she just went out there and didn't add a bunch of all this shit to it. That is the greatest version of the national anthem ever. It gets me every time. And go ahead, Gabe, because I had.
I still get the chills when I hear that. My son was a great American football player at La Jolla Country Day High School, right? It's the fancy pants school. We were on financial aid there. Like, this is literal billionaires and stuff. It's like the richest school in San Diego. But he was a good football player, so I got him in there. And on September 11th, they happened to have a football game. It just happened to fall on the football Friday, and they honored one of the girls who died in one of the planes because she was a former student there. And we do the national anthem. You know, the kids are holding their helmets. All the parents are standing with the hand on the heart. And I shit you not, the moment we like finish the song, like an F-15 flies right over the school. Coincidentally, because it's like 2 miles from Top Gun. It's right there. The Marine Corps Air Station, there's always jets flying around. It literally flew right over the high school like the minute that song ended. I was just like hair on my neck. I couldn't believe it.
Telling you.
Power. I saw an F-15 today. They're always flying around here. So,
and Matt, you feel American. You are American.
Damn right.
But will American football ever take the place of football?
For me.
Yeah.
Or do you mean a lot around the world?
Like soccer? No, I mean to you.
No.
Will American football ever replace what we call soccer?
No, not for me. It can't, because it's like, it's what I grew up playing. It's what I grew up watching. I still watch it. I get up with one of my sons every week, and I watch my team. It's my local team. It's like my tribe, you know, and I really love watching it. The only thing is that they've caught the woke mind virus, and they've been kneeling. It's something they're like, let's stamp racism. Now, here's the funny thing. The club that I supported, West Bromwich Albion, fielded the first. I think they were the first team to field the first 3 black players together. And so when I grew up, I loved this one player called Cyril Regis. He was my idol. Like, he was a soccer player, black guy. Nobody cared. So this was a time when the clubs had, you know, there was still racism going on there. But the club was a groundbreaking club in doing that. We were like, we don't care. And the fans really prided themselves on that they didn't care. So now there he is.
Good old Cyril.
Yeah, he's listen, I met him in the gym once, and the dude was a specimen. Like, before
you can see it there, the biceps.
Yeah.
You know what? When all the other footballers were going down the pub and getting drunk, Cyril Regis was built like a brick shit house. He was unbelievable. I just remember him being so powerful, and I got to meet him later on when I was in the television show that I did, which was kind of like really weird. But they'd already done the work. Like, they'd pioneered all this breaking down the barriers. And then, ironically, they started taking a knee. And I keep saying on social media, stop taking a knee. You have no idea where that started, right? And it's just like, it's just some bullshit like virtue signaling, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was a game recently between our local rivals, and a bunch of racism was going on between the two fans. I'm like, I hate to tell you, right? You mean your kneeling didn't stop, you know, the evils in a human person? Like, and we all know what the kneeling comes from and that bullshit. But look, I stopped watching football when Colin Kaepernick was doing his stuff, and they were turning their back on the flags and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't have time for that. And I've kind of got back to it. And having a son play in high school has changed things for me. I still don't quite understand it. Like, you know, he's a big lad. My son, who just turned 18 yesterday, actually. And so seeing him play, and I don't think I'll ever get used to like him taking out another human being like a freight train.
He plays American.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
What is he? Do you know what he? I mean,
he was center.
Oh, so he's a big guy. That's a big boy. Okay.
Yeah. To work some extra jobs just to beat him.
It's 6-man. It's 6-man. Okay. So he would also work as a tight end as well, because he's tall. He's taller than me. Actually, he's bigger than me.
Still a big guy.
How tall are you?
That's a big guy role too.
Yeah, I'm 6'3".
Oh, okay.
And he's 6'4".
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did he ever challenge the throne? Did the young lion? Did Simba ever try to take Mufasa?
He'll never take his old man. He'll never take his old man.
You know what? Yesterday, I was talking to my son's flag football coach, and he has a son who's 15 or 16, and I asked him about that. And he says sometimes, in a playful way, his son will like, try to wrestle him or whatever. And I was like, your hormones are telling you, hey, man, you got some hair on your nuts. You're taller. You're stronger. I got some little definition in the mirror, and dad's always, when he gets out of the chair. So I think I can take him. I said, but they don't understand. We have taxpayer muscle. We have dad, man. It's a different kind of strength.
That's the real thing. It is a real thing.
It's different. It's just different. And they don't understand it. Poor things. They're young. They don't.
My son still can't take me. My son cannot take me. He's 27 and strong and lean and muscular, but I can still take him.
But I think so. For me, growing up, I grew up in a working class, on a working class council estate like the projects. He's lived in, and my family. We've done the right thing, right? You give your kids a better life,
Yeah.
And I don't want them to have had the youth that I had, to a degree. You know what I mean? I don't want them. I don't want them to have this.
Right.
But and again, I actually want him at some point to be able to, and he will take me. I want them to be smarter than me. I want them to be better than me.
Eventually,
yeah, I do. I mean, that's the
day,
goal.
It's like, I remember the time I took my dad out. I was 18, but my dad's 5'10", and I was 6'3" at 18. And I just got him and manhandled him in his living room playfully. We were laughing, but his eyes were like saucers. Like, oh my God, my baby just beat the crap out of me.
Yeah, I mean, and my son, honestly, his legs. So I've always had like genetically slim legs. My sister gives me a hard time about it. She goes, "You got the legs that I should have had," but my son's legs are giant. Like he's just a naturally built. He's just naturally built in his legs, and so he didn't get it from me. But I mean, it is a bittersweet thing, right? Because he's your replacement. Like he's he's going to come in, and I'm super proud of every one of my kids, and him becoming 18. I had a bit of a moment, like the night before. I was lying there in bed. I was because I like to study at night. I like to read, and I just texted him because he has a phone. Or the other kids don't have one, but he has one, and we monitor it and all that. And he's 18 now. And I texted him. I said, "Hey, happy birthday!" And he went, "Thanks, Dad." And I said, "Was I the first one to wish you happy birthday?" And his friend, they text each other every year on their birthday to see who the first person is to get it, and they've done it every year. And he said, "You're second, but you're still the first." So it was. And I know, right? Like you have the moment, and I'm like, that's his last birthday at home now. He's
man.
So
the circle of life, man.
That's how it is.
You from cutting the umbilical cord to
were you in the room? Were you in the room for all the babies being delivered? Some guys don't. I was there.
I delivered
3
of them, I think.
All right.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. Well, it's funny. On the first one with the first one with my wife, with Finn, the doctor comes up to me and they say, "Do you want to cut the cord?" I was like, "No." I'm like, "No, not cool with that." And she goes, "It's a once in a lifetime thing." I'm like, "Clearly not with me."
Yeah,
because I've done it a bunch of times.
All right.
I'll be back.
Yeah. So that was funny. I asked him, like, I did say at one point, because we went back to the same doctor multiple times. I'm like, can I, in Jamba Juice where you get one of those punch cards?
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, surely I should be having one for free now.
Yeah, the next one's
delivered
free.
like a bunch of my kids.
Did they? At some point, did they just give you keys to the hospital?
They should have done, right?
Let yourself in, let yourself out.
You know what's funny though? I'll tell you what's funny. I am at the point, like, when it got to 6. We'd be like this. We'd be just sitting there like, this is no joke. We'd be like, and my wife would go, "I think I'm having a baby." And I'd be like, "All right then." No drama. Just so used to it.
Damn.
when we were at
You know?
6, yeah, when we were at 6.
When he was
So here's a funny story about that. So we I think it was number 7, and my wife goes, I'm having the baby. And I'm like, okay. So we get up and we go to the hospital, and we don't like, there's none of this like, oh, we've packed everything nice before. We kind of got over that. Like, you know, you kind of like, whatever, that's for rookies. We throw a few things together and off you go, and then you sleep in the room, right? So but we went to the hospital, and the nurse, and I understand why they did this. Like she was just a bit of a Marsden maternity ward, yeah. That's this house, I think.
It's your own wing.
Yeah. So we get there, and this woman's like, okay, you know, she's clearly had a bad day, right? And my wife goes, yeah, I think I'm about to have the baby. And the woman goes, are you sure you are? Like, you know, and she said it like that. She was like, you'll be fine. So, and she starts going through the things, and my wife's like, no, I think we need to call the doctor. And she was like, sweetie, it's okay. And we go in, and she goes like, so what baby number is this, your first? And she goes, number 6. No, number 7. He was number 7. Yeah. She goes, number 7. And she goes, okay, everyone, get the totally changed. Because the baby's coming.
Yes.
Right, the baby is coming when it's number 7. Like, you know, there's not a lot of like waiting on that one, but it was funny to see him like change.
So before I get to my next question, mentioning your son being 18, kind of not closing the chapter, but definitely moving on to the next chapter, the next phase, the adult phase, the maybe more of an advisory position, or maybe, you know, because he's going to be out in the world. So after the 8th baby, and I don't know, maybe the Marsdens got another one, you know, in the chamber. Maybe there's number 9. But was there kind of this is it? You know, I think we're done. We have a good sized family. You know, it has that kind of. Has it happened yet, or is it still? You know?
No, because our approach is that we're just open to life. So if we have a baby, we have a baby. We're not looking to, like, we never said, okay, we're going to plan for this amount. It was more like, so we didn't talk about this last time, right? About I'm trying to remember the theology on why we approach it like this. Did we speak about this?
You did, and that made such an impact on me. How it's like a recommittal of your vow to
yeah.
So you can potentially create a new life to add to your family. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So that to me is the essence of a really strong marriage as well. So I don't think we've got to that point, but I'll tell you what it is weird, Jericho, is like having an 18-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Yeah, that's
like that is kind of like,
that's unique.
It's interesting. You know what I mean? Because I know, like, I'm not gonna be throwing the football with him when he's 18, because I'll be, you know what, nearly 70 years old, or maybe I will. You know,
some supplements out there. Something.
Stallone's doing all right. Stallone's doing all right for that age. But no, I mean, I know what you're saying. Though I know the nature of the question, but I think. I don't see it like in blocks, right? I mean, that's when you're open to life, that block doesn't end until it does, because you can't have any more kids. And my wife is 9 years younger than me, so we could conceivably have another couple of kids.
Nice.
But I don't think we will. And well, I don't know, but I don't.
1 year from now, you're going to be on with us with another one.
I know, I'll be like that. No, but you know, we use natural family planning and all that. But I think that
you know what they call parents who practice the people. I fucking blew the joke. I fucking blew the joke. Can you believe?
You know what? You need a blooper reel for that, because that was.
Let's go back. Do you know what they call people who practice the rhythm method? Parents. See, I ruined the joke.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
And the practice is so much fun, you know.
But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Like, it is. I think it is difficult as you get older, right? Like you have these milestones that you kind of go, okay. And certainly for someone, let's say you have 2 kids, if if I'd had 2 kids now, my 2 oldest sons are gone. Like that's it. And then it's just me and my wife. And then it's like, okay, I don't mean just me and my wife, but you know what I mean? Like, so then you can start like going, okay, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Because for the rest of you, until they have their grandchildren, that they have kids and we have grandchildren. But so for me, it's not like that. I mean, I'm going to have grandchildren while I still have young kids.
Yeah. Wait till you have grandkids.
Yeah.
Just wait. It's Jericho. He knew before my granddaughter was born. He's like, you're 6'4", 270 pounds. You're going to be just wrapped around this 7-pound person's finger. He was right.
And then you can go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give him back at the end of the night.
There you go. Let me know when you got that all situated. Granddad will take him back.
Just give him a bunch of sugar and then let him go.
Yeah, wind him up and send him home.
It's different than having kids. It's like, I think because you're older, you're more mature and this and that. You've already raised your own. It's like even, I don't know how else to say it. It's like even happier, the grandkids. It's like, okay, there's a future. I didn't screw all this up. There'll be future humans. I did my part to keep the fire alive of humanity.
I'll tell you what is weird, Jericho, talking about that, like about these periods of life in your life, right? As a man, especially, like, because we're all men here. So, we're talking about like,
Did you just assume Jericho's gender?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Was that a microaggression?
It's a macroaggression.
And my pronouns are,
yeah. I forgot what I was going to say now.
You were saying something about us
your life as a man, us as men. Having kids.
I can't remember.
Then I ruined it with the C+ level.
You ruined it. I can't remember.
Well, when it comes back, please.
It'll come out like. Do you ever? By the way, do you ever have that? I want to ask people on this as well. Do you ever have that moment where you go, that guy? I know his name. He begins with S. Trevor. Did you ever do that? Like you think it's a completely wrong letter at the beginning. I do that all the time. Maybe.
I'm having the "what did I come in this room for" moments lately. I go out in the garage and I'm like, so you can retrace your steps in the back of your. You're like, okay, that's why I'm out here. Yeah, that happens frequently. So, but I did want to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I remember what it is. I remember what I was going to say.
Okay, good.
So,
so let me interrupt again. No, just kidding.
I done it. So the thing for me was this: is that it's weird to know that my grandchildren, and this is for all of us now, for all of us, our grandchildren will be able to look and see what we were like.
Right. I think about that
at this age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think about, and for me, I mean, I've been very lucky. It's film, and especially like Rambo is going to be there at least for another 100 years. Black Hawk Down, those movies will endure, right? They'll endure for a long time. So it's kind of odd to think that, like now, if we were to say, what did your great grandfather look like, Jericho? You're not going to know.
Yeah,
it's probably black.
Right? Like, I don't even have pictures of me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's strange.
It's pretty cool. Because now, like people my age, we could have video of our family, but it's probably on some old family movies or like Christmas or something like that. But now, especially doing what we do, our kids are going to have hours and hours and hours of us, or our grandkids and our great grandkids are going to have hours and hours of us speaking and giving our opinions, and not just these little snapshots of happy birthday, or Christmas morning. So they're going to really be
and the dad in the background. Because normally the dad's filming, right? Like, or the dad's in the background. So yeah.
Think about this. If there's enough hours of me or you or any of us talking, our thoughts, our personalities, our patterns, they'll be able to train an AI off of you, Jericho, and your descendants will be able to talk to an AI that's pretty similar to you. It's obviously not alive or anything, but it will respond and think like you if there's enough thousands of hours for it to figure out your patterns of speech. Think about that.
Too crazy. But yeah, but I don't want them to be able to speak to me. I want there to be some lore to grandpa or great grandpa Jericho. I don't want them to be able to talk to me, or a thing that represents me. That's just some mystery pass through, you know, because now we have stories, you know, our family members tell us stories, and maybe it's glamorized, you know, through their memories and stuff, and they hold back the real bad shit. But that's okay. We don't need to know everything and everybody. But mentioning, you know, how you were brought up in basically the British version of the projects, what we have here. Have you ever been back to your old neighborhood after you made it?
Oh yeah.
And what was that like to not be going back there to live there, but you've made it and you're kind of an observer now? What was that like?
Yeah, it's like anything. It's weird. I mean, I hadn't been back to the UK for maybe 8 years, and I went back last year, and my mom's still living in the same house.
Really?
Yeah, my mom's still living in the same house, so I went back and I stayed there. Actually, I stayed in my old house, and I saw my neighbors who are just amazing. You know, the kids that I grew up with, still there. I mean, lots of things have changed, but it was nice to go back. I'll tell you one of the moments that really hit me. Right, so I'm sitting in my mom's living room, and I'm looking out, and there was a tree that I never climbed it because my mom would have smacked me around the back of the head if I would have climbed it, because there was no climbing trees. But the tree that I remember climbing, the trunk is now like this thick, where it was like that thick before. You know what I mean? And because I'd sat in that, and here's the funny thing, you guys, again, this is reminiscing. This is like old man talk now. But I remember watching Back to the Future and coming back and listening to The Power of Love by Huey Lewis. I had a 12-inch, you know, the 12-inch vinyl version of it. And I listened to it maybe for about 3 hours, just on and on and on and on and on. And like, I just got this vision of America.
Wow.
That was just in my brain.
It's amazing that you say that. The last 3 movies we reviewed on the channel were Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3.
Really?
I'd never seen them. I'd seen bits and pieces, but somehow I missed them growing up. I would have been allowed to watch them because they were wholesome enough. But I'd always kind of heard Huey Lewis's music. But when I listened to that movie and I listened to Power of Love, I immediately bought his greatest hits 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. I bought the greatest hits. I've been listening to it nonstop in the truck while I'm drawing. I can't stop listening to the greatest hits. Do You Believe in Love is my favorite song. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The falsetto in that. And me and Jericho, we were talking about, I think it was Back to the Future 1 or 2, and we were saying this might be like a perfect movie.
It's a perfect film.
85, but it's like the zenith of American pop culture.
Yeah.
Special effects were good enough. Nothing was really that woke yet. And family and love were still the focus. I was driving to this burger place with my son, that burger place I was telling you about, Jericho, the amazing one. And I was telling him the lyrics to it. Do you believe in love? Do you believe it's true? Do you believe in love? Because you got me believing it too. It's like they never write stuff like this anymore. It's so beautiful to write things like that. Are you kidding me?
And what movies have hit songs off them now?
Yeah, are there soundtracks anymore? I was asking somebody this a few months back. Soundtracks were as, if not more important than the movie. The soundtracks were huge and they were star-studded. I mean, I think Back to the Future encapsulates the 80s.
Perfect.
That whole era.
That
the
truck.
KC lights.
The black truck he gets, yeah.
Come on, the Pepsi, the Burger King, just all the shoes, everything, the DeLorean.
The Nikes, the DeLorean. I mean, look, we'd all have a DeLorean, wouldn't we? If I could have a DeLorean, I'd have a DeLorean.
My wife, let me make my money. I'm going to buy one, not to drive, just to have.
Everything, that movie, and Gabe and I have talked about this before, but before we had everything all the time and we knew everything about everybody from every period in the world, there was buildup. You saw the commercials in between your TV shows. The McDonald's had the Back to the Future value meal. Like there was buildup, and you're standing in line and you get your ticket and you get your seat in the theater. And then once you see it, you go to school on Monday. Did you guys see it? Blah, blah, blah. And then you didn't see it for a year or 2 years until it came out on video.
On VHS.
There's build up for the video release, and you're standing in line at Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or your local mom and pop video store. Ours was called ComSource Video and Sunrise Video. My next door neighbors owned Sunrise Video. And the cardboard cutouts in the movie store, like the buildup isn't there anymore. We don't have buildup because you can see the footage of them filming it with the tight suit on and the little white balls. Everything is filmed now. And just that time of like I said, waiting for things to come out, and life was just something different. I think the 80s is the greatest decade.
You'd also wait. Do you remember waiting for the for the records to come out as well? Because you'd sit and watch. Well, we did in the UK. Listen to the top 100 to see what was number one at the weekend. And I don't. My kids have never said, "Have you heard this new song that's come out?" They've never like anticipated it or had a band that's going to be release a song, and they're so desperate to wait for it. And it's funny because someone just said something on your chats. I distinctly remember getting the bus back after watching Ghostbusters.
Oh.
And all I could do was like, Monday, I am buying that record. I just thought it was the greatest thing. Like, Ghostbusters was a huge movie. It was so big culturally. Do you remember that? I mean,
Ray Parker Jr. I ain't afraid of no ghost. And the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. As a kid, I thought that shit was so cool to be drenched in liquid marshmallow.
Right?
You know who really loves the Ghostbusters music is Huey Lewis and the News, because that song is stolen from "I Want a Drug."
Yep.
So they probably got a nice check on that.
Yeah.
And Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray,
amazing
Ernie
movie.
Hudson.
That's
just
another
the
perfect 80s movie. Another perfect 80s movie.
The special effects, Sigourney Weaver, everything lined up in that movie. And then, I think it was Predator, Gabe, where you looked up the marquee for the weekend that Predator came out. That movie lineup was stupid.
Oh yeah, but that movie's perfect. Predator is literally a perfect movie.
Fantastic.
But did you go through the making of it? Because making of it, my gosh. Do you know Jean-Claude Van Damme was the Predator?
Do know that. We do know, yeah.
And he wore the red. Yeah.
He was a red, like, looked like an ant or something.
Yeah, it was
very weird.
But the making of that movie was it's really, really interesting. So when I did Anacondas, because they'll send the footage away, the editors put together a mash of us in Predator for Anacondas, and it worked really well. Actually, I wish I still had it because it was funny. But yeah, no, I mean, it was a golden era, and I think everyone looks back and says, "Oh well, that was really golden." But I think at the time, I mean, look at that.
Look at that lineup:
RoboCop, Predator, Full Metal Jacket.
And the Lost Boys.
Every one of those is fantastic.
Every one of those movies is a standalone, put it in the time capsule to be open in 100 years movie. Every single one of them. Predator, hey, Hollywood, Predator and RoboCop. If you guys want to make an action movie, violence, muscles, tits, and guns. Case closed. That's all you need. It was everything to wait for those movies. You go in the video store, the first thing you look at is the new release shelf to see if there's any more of the empty boxes on there. Right. And if there is, you run and grab one. And after you get that movie in your hands, you don't care about what movie your parents are going to pick or your little brother's going to pick. You got it in your hands and it's on. And it's a Friday night, probably going to grab some pizza or something and just go home and watch. And from beginning to end, from the opening credits to the very end, you are just riveted.
That is an awesome poster right there.
Isn't it? I saw this poster, at the mall or somewhere. I'm in 3rd grade, right? It's 1986 or whatever. Uncle Dave was a pretty well-to-do lawyer. My mom's brother. He was an attorney. He lived in Denver, Colorado. We lived out in San Diego. He would come to California once or twice a year, take us all to Disneyland and do fun stuff with his nephews. Me, my brother, my 2 older cousins. I saw this poster at the mall, and I was like, I want to see RoboCop. My mom didn't let me watch anything rated R, titties or scary. Very wholesome. It's always allowed to watch. Uncle Dave comes and he's going to take me, my brother Abe, Tim and John, my older cousins, to go see RoboCop. And then my mom said no. And I cried. And I didn't end up seeing it till I was like 20. But if you ever wanted something so bad when you were a kid, I wanted to go with cool Uncle Dave, and he would buy the big popcorn. And
do you know
Damn
what I
it,
watched? Do you know what I watched the other day? And I was really disappointed by it. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be as good, and because what they did was they tried to change it too much and took it away from the original. Although I think that the acting is better in the new one, but the older one's better. Is Total Recall.
Oh,
we love Total Recall. We love it.
Such a
We
great.
reviewed it on this channel like 3 months ago.
Oh,
This
it's
is
so
our
great.
Matthew. This is our wheelhouse. 80s movies. This is like our favorite thing, dude.
the original, I think I saw it
good.
once when it came out with Colin Farrell, right?
Yeah, the new one. Yeah,
But and it's PG-13. Total Recall was a rated R movie. Again, muscles, tits, 3 tits. You got 3 titties in that movie. Violence. You know, the acting's not. We're not
yeah,
Shakespeare
but that's
level
not
with
what
it.
Consider that a divorce.
Come on, baby. You know, the only one for me. Get your ass to Mars. You know what I mean? Some one-liners. But to have that template, to have the template of a hit movie and to shit all over it, I don't understand that.
You know, I mean, he didn't do a good job with that. I'm like, why not go to Mars? Why are you doing it so they got to go through the Earth's core? Like, I don't get it. Like,
so instead of going into space, they go into the Earth.
Yeah.
I didn't bother seeing it, so I have no idea.
Oh, you didn't know? So what they do is that there's like a colony.
God.
There's a colony in Australia, and they have to go past the core, so they go straight through the Earth. It's
Mars
is
is
stupid.
Mutants on Mars is more believable than that.
Yeah. Did I mention the lady with 3 tits? What are you doing? And get some big muscle-bound dude, just like Arnold. Maybe throw Arnold in there for a cameo or something. I don't know. But they made the blueprint for you. Copy and paste.
I was going to ask. Let's ask Arnold what he thought of the Total Recall remake. Welcome Arnold to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah. Thank you.
So did you see the new? Did you see the Colin Farrell Total Recall?
Yeah, unfortunately, I got an invite to the red carpet there. I was very pissed off. I was like, wait a minute, where are the titties? Where's the Sharon Stone and the Get Your Ass to Mars?
What made you angrier, the lack of 3 boobs or the fact they didn't go to Mars?
Of course, the lack of titties. You know how I feel about the female anatomy and the lumps and the bumps there in the vagina.
Okay. Well, let me ask you one thing. We'll get you out of here. If they remade a woke version of Black Hawk Down, what should Matthew do about it?
First of all, don't be involved in it, because you know they're gonna make one of the guys a transgender or something like that there. They're gonna have one of the ladies there holding the saw. Don't do it. But I tell you this much, Matt, if you do the remake of the movie, don't put the saw on your shoulder, because you won't be able to get over to the car there.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, everyone. Tell Lupita we said hello.
Yeah.
Funny.
He's a
you couldn't call it Black Hawk Down anymore, could you? You'd have to like call it
every person of color Hawk Down.
Oh, yeah. My goodness.
Could you and you know they're probably, and I hope they don't do that to that movie, but why do they do that? Why do they take things that they know we enjoy? You know that I want to take my son, who's my age now when I saw it, and I want to see the joy on his face when he sees this, but you just take a piss on it.
I'll tell you why. I can tell you exactly why. And Gabe will tell you this as well, because the comic book world is exactly the same. What they do is they just go, you know, we are way more smarter than the people that came before us, and we know better, and we can do it better. And they didn't do it as well as it could have been done. I mean,
the temerity of these people at like Amazon making that spin-off TV show of like Lord of the Rings stuff, and it's all woke. The temerity to think that you're going to correct and fix Tolkien. Who do you think you are? One of the greatest authors in the history of the world. You're like, yeah, you know what? He kind of got it wrong, actually.
It's so insulting. By the way, I would like to say this and I'd like to ask the people on this chat as well. Do you remember the moment, because she's older now, but do you remember the moment when you saw Sharon Stone in Total Recall? I remember going like this. Who is that?
Matt, I will see your Sharon Stone
Ooh,
in
here we
Total
go.
Recall, which was 1990, but I will raise you Sharon Stone in Action Jackson in 1988.
And I will raise you Sharon Stone in Above
Stop
the
it.
Law with Steven Seagal as his wife.
Stop it. Stop right now.
Oh, let's go.
No, I
Let
mean-
me ask you that.
Ridiculous.
When did you realized? The hell's wrong? with me?
Realized.
When did you realize? I swear I went to school. When did you realize, like, oh, I like women? I can tell you exactly where I was. I was in my grandparents' house, and their kitchen was connected to their bedroom, and the bedroom had like a TV in it. It wasn't really a bedroom, but it's where their bed was in this big house. It was a big old house in Colorado. And Carrie Fisher was on TV as Princess Leia. It wasn't Star Wars, but it was something. I was 7, and I saw Princess Leia in that white dress and all that, and I was like, oh. And my life has never been the same since. That's when it
I don't
started.
know what this
That's
is.
when the clock started for me. Do you remember the first one?
Yeah,
you
I
saw
do.
and you're like,
I do.
oh.
I do. I remember like the
was 7.
first. So I'm gonna list 4 that just came into my head. The one was I was entirely too young. I remember watching a Disney show about a bunch. Like I was a kid, a little boy. And I remember watching a Disney show about a bunch of acrobats. It was one of those Disney things, and there was a little girl in it who was older than me. So when I was younger, she was older than me, and I just thought she was really beautiful. So that's I can remember that being the first time that I noticed a girl.
Mm.
But do you remember the band Bow Wow Wow?
No,
Mhm.
is this British or?
Remember I Want Candy? Remember the
Yeah.
song,
Oh,
I
sure.
Want Candy? And they got this like, because they were very punk. It was like Malcolm McLaren, and I remember seeing their lead singer and going. And I was young, so I don't know when that was. Like maybe I was 11. Was it like 84 or something like that? I remember going, why do I kind of like find her very, very, very attractive now? And then the other one was actually, gotta say, it was when I saw Whitney Houston singing "How Will I Know" in that video, and I was
Right.
just like,
1985.
I'd never seen anyone that looked like that, and just thought that she was spectacularly good looking.
Now, Gabe, I want you to look up Vanity.
Oh, Vanity from Action Jackson.
That was but for me, it was I was like 5 years old, pretty little, but she was in The Last Dragon with Timac, and it was this, basically this black kid who was infatuated with martial arts, but she was a love interest. She was this pop star.
Right.
And again, you're so young, you don't really know what's going on, but
Classic beauty. Classic.
you know that I like that. I like the way
Yeah.
that looks.
Right.
So that was definitely my first time, like, she's pretty, she's beautiful. So I knew right there, this is going to be my pursuit for the rest of my life.
Right.
And yeah, man, going back to those days when you were a kid and you didn't understand, but you
Mm-mm.
knew, because once you're like a teenager, then you're like a little scumbag.
Yeah,
You
yeah. But when
understand
you're
it.
younger, you're like, what about here's one for you. Here's one for you. Kelly LeBrock.
Oh,
Weird
yeah.
science. Weird science. Oh.
I saw Weird Science at my cousin's house where I would catch movies I wasn't allowed to watch at home. Weird Science, I saw it when I was like 9. Kelly LeBrock coming out of that door with the pink light and all that. Oh my gosh.
And she goes,
Yeah.
"What are you maniacs gonna do first?" I think it was. It's so funny that yeah, so inappropriate though. I wouldn't let my kids watch that now.
Oh, yeah.
No.
You know what? That's something I find myself saying a lot. My parents, like watching movies with them, I could watch whatever. Like my mom would cover my eyes on the love scenes. And at that age, I really wasn't into it anyway. But pretty much language and violence, I've seen all the action movies, RoboCop, Beverly Hills Cop, Predator, Action Jackson. I've seen them all. But as a parent now, I wouldn't let my son, I would feel weird sitting there watching those movies with my son because of the violence
Oh,
and
good
the
grief.
sexual nature
I
of it
think I
all.
went
But
from 7 to 15 years old when I saw this.
yeah, it's a wrap.
Like that is ridiculous. I'm
It's a
just
wrap.
saying. Like anyway, We're gonna get done
And,
for being misogynists. I'm just reliving my youth. Okay, I'm reliving my
It
youth.
was just, it's a funny
we're,
question because
we're reveling in being men. This is
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of being a man
I
is
saw-
admiring.
Oh my gosh.
I saw Susanna Hoffs in the Walk Like an Egyptian video when I was like 8 or 9 at my cousin's house where they would watch things I was allowed to watch. And I thought she sure was pretty.
She's
know.
gorgeous. Have you seen that shot
To
up
this
there?
day,
The top left.
She's like
To the
65.
top left.
And yeah.
The top, that shot, the
That's
top
even-
left there.
That's
That's even
her,
better.
Jericho. That's
How is
her in
that
her-
better?
She's in her 60s, dude.
But how is that better now?
Right? She's got the picture of Dorian Gray at her house or something.
Look, Sade. That was another one.
Your love is
Sade-
king.
Ugh.
Na, 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 na,
How do you spell that?
na. SADE.
No, I haven't been out here. No.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, look up Sade, Gabe, if you could.
Is this her SADE,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Again, a unique beauty. Yeah.
She
And
was.
she's from Great Britain.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Yeah.
She's one of yours. Well, formerly British guy.
Her voice is amazing.
Come on. Her album Love Deluxe.
Oh, dude, you couldn't escape that. That was an era where like they had her. Do you remember like Roxy Music came out with all those songs as well, and Spandau Ballet, and
Spandau Ballet.
Yeah.
Oh man, Level 42.
dude. I'm so glad you know Level 42 because nobody knows Level 42,
Come
and
on, man.
they
Jericho
are
used to work in
amazing.
radio, and he's a music guy too. So
Oh,
But
Level 42, greatest
is the
bass
shit,
player.
man. Phil Collins. I'm telling you, the 80s are my favorite, man. The music,
right, the movies, all of it.
Human League.
Human League,
Come on.
Flock of Seagulls.
My
what's his
favorite-
name? Hold on.
Jericho knows.
Simply Red.
Oh, dude,
Simply
yeah,
Red is holding back the years.
one of the greatest songs ever, right?
That dude, I mean, his video for that song was British. It was like in the countryside with
Yeah.
cobblestone streets and little short walls and shit. They're probably 700 years old. Yeah, man. Simply Red is the shit.
He wrote that when he was really young. I have a laugh about this with my sister because when I was very young, I mean, I think I was 18, 19, and I was, I was modeling, believe it or not, in London to pay my way through
Yeah,
college.
we can believe that, Matt. We can
Pay my
believe
way through college. And we went to a club with my sister, and he hit on my sister. Mick Hucknall did, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Yeah,
that
but
song.
it's a great song, really great song. They had a bunch of hits. Like their album "Stars" was unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't get away. That was like 1990. Stars was, but holding back the years was a few years before that.
Yeah, I think
but
it was
even
like the mid 80s.
by the way, look at immediately when you say the Lost Boys for the soundtrack, like People Are Strange. There was a whole, there were quotable movies. By the way, they shouldn't have redone Roadhouse either. That was fine the way it was.
How dare you? I'm
movie-
in Roadhouse. I'm a movie star just like you, by the way.
That movie makes
when
me.
You're in Roadhouse.
When they filmed the scenes at the UFC thing in Vegas, I happened to be at that fight with my son. So I tell everyone that I'm in Roadhouse.
That's funny.
I'm in
They
the
should've
crowd.
just-
Obviously, you're not going to see
Left
me,
it alone.
but I'm
Yeah.
in there. I'm in that.
That
movie.
trailer is a pile of runny homeless shit. It is Conor McGregor. Why? I know they paid you
I
well.
worked so hard on that movie.
Why?
My performance in the audience, Jericho. How dare
You got method. I know you did. I'm
How
not
dare you.
talking about you, Gabe. You were great.
So
But-
here's one movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but here's a movie that I was doing an ADR session actually once, and I was speaking to the guy in the ADR session, and I was telling him about a movie that I really wanted to remake. And I don't normally want to remake movies, but this movie I really, really, really wanted to remake. It's very, very 80s, but you'll know why when I tell you if you've seen it. And it turns out that he wrote it.
Oh, cool. Small world.
I was there, and I said, and he went, "You love that movie?" I said, "I think that movie's would make a brilliant, brilliant remake." And he goes, "Oh, I wrote that," and I'm like, "What? The Wraith?" Did you ever
Oh,
see the-
yeah. The car?
Wow.
True. But someone like you would have to be in control of it.
Yeah,
you couldn't let it fall into the wrong hands at any
I do it
level.
just like the original. I mean,
Ugh.
that like, you know, again, I say that because remember the scene in it where it's Addicted to Love by Robert Palmer and the girls are
Oh.
coming up on their skates. Oh, by the way, the Karate Kid.
Now, I might disappoint you here, but I'm
Oh,
not
no,
a
you
big
don't.
fan of Karate Kid.
Right,
I'm not.
Matthew?
Shout
Right?
out to Elizabeth Shue. Shout out to her. She's on the Ladies of the 80s poster to me,
See,
but never
this is
been a
right
big
there,
fan.
Matthew. See, this is right there with that creamy peanut butter bullshit that he's
Polish on, polish off. What?
doing. I know.
No wax on, wax off for me.
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio. I don't know.
That's it.
It's
Wax on,
unbelievable.
wax off, not polish on,
Unbelievable.
polish. No, it was polish on, polish off.
No, it was
right,
wax
as well.
on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Then there was another one, wasn't there?
Maybe
don't
in the
know.
British version, they ADR'd it to Polish
Yeah, they
on,
changed that.
Polish
Wax on, wax off. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Polish on, polish off. Bob's
All
your
right,
uncle.
polish
Isn't
on,
it?
polish off.
Isn't it?
Isn't it?
Knob cheese.
Can I
What-
just say though? I'll tell you what I do think is
Someone
a
says someone
perfect
tweet
film.
Jericho's leg.
I'll
Fucking
tell you-
do it.
tell you what is a perfect film, and it doesn't make the 80s, but it's a perfect film,
Okay.
and it's Jaws.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. Tension, thriller.
When you don't even have to show the damn shark.
Right.
It's
Yeah, that was
perfect
amazing.
filmmaking. Perfect.
Now, speaking of, but you mentioned Michael Caine. He was in Jaws for the Revenge. Ugh. But
I've
he
got a
said-
story about that. Do you want to
He
hear
has
my
a
story
famous
about
quote.
that?
Of course.
Please,
Tell us.
please. But he
I
has
was
a
there.
famous.
I was there when he said it. The quote.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Go.
so I'm literally at the Dorchester Hotel in London, and I had to meet with Michael Caine before we did a read through. Before we did press, and you can look up the pictures. Actually, there's some pictures we took. There's me,
For
Claire
what movie?
Rushbrook. Shiner. It's called Shiner. And there's me, Claire Rushbrook. Andy Serkis was in it as well. Actually, Gollum was in it. So we are literally standing there, and people are asking all these questions, right? And so I'm sitting there on the panel, and this one journalist stood up and he goes, "Michael, Jaws for the Revenge. What about your art?" And without missing a beat, he goes, "Do you know, I look at the Picasso I have on my wall when from the money I made from Jaws for the Revenge, and I say, that's my art."
Ooh. Damn.
Dude, Michael
Look
Caine's
at
a shit.
me, a little whippersnapper I was
Look
then.
at you, just a baby there, huh?
Next to a legend. That's not
Right.
bad. How old were you there?
I was 27.
Not bad. Like my dad would say, "You're shitting in tall cotton, son." That's
Yeah.
pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? My favorite British insult, other than the C word, which to an American is so weird how
It's
that's
such
just
a dirty
thrown
word in
around.
English.
Really,
It's
that's
one
like
of
the
dirtiest.
filthiest word we have, and you guys
Yeah.
like will call a little kid that.
Yeah.
But my favorite British insult is knob cheese. That is so disgusting.
Yeah,
It is so
I said
funny, though.
I said to somebody today, I was literally in the car and I went, and I was talking about, I'm like, "Oh, he's such a knobber." And they were like, "I love it when you say that." And I was like, I don't know where it came from. Like sometimes, now I will say this. For me, I never say the C word. Like the C word is like a no. Like
I thought
everything
it was
else
just
is.
like dudes. Like, oh,
That's
this-
the American in you.
Some
though. That's
guys
the American
do.
in you, Matt.
No, some guys do. Like if you're a Cockney, they use that word all the time. You know, it's just like,
It's
yeah, blah, blah.
crazy.
I thought it
Uh,
wasn't even dirty in there, like in there.
Oh no, it's dirty. Yeah.
Because
Oh,
over
yeah.
here, like we say, fanny means someone's butt, but in
Yeah, that
England,
means
it's the front side. It's not the back side.
yeah.
You get a handful of that fanny, girl. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be
I
saying
used to work with an Australian
like fanny
dude.
pack. We were like, oh, what?
You have a pack
know,
of those?
it's-
Where do I find them? Is it a six
It's where
pack?
if you
Well-
stuff a bunch of stuff in it, you carry things around.
So,
Yeah, we
so
know how to use it. But
well, when I was a kid, I remember we had I remember it really vividly. We had a substitute teacher, and he was from Michigan.
Oh boy!
And I remember somebody saying, "Hey, pass me the rubber," and he went, "What did you say?" And we're like, "Pass the rubber," you know, to rub out the mistakes,
Oh,
because we don't say eraser.
oh.
We do.
We say
And
I know.
pass me the rubber means you're going to use somebody's fanny.
I
The
know.
rubber's for the fanny around here.
I'm confused by all this. That's
That
funny.
means something totally different. I used to work with a guy from Australia, and he threw the C word around like the.
Oh
like
yeah.
we really had to be like, hey man, you can't be saying that at work. That's like HR shit. You're gonna get in trouble for that.
Well, I got told off the other day. I mean, I got really chastised for dropping the F-bomb. Actually, someone messaged me on X and said, "No Christian man uses the F-bomb. Like you are not a Christian man by using the F-bomb." Told him to.
Yeah, fuck.
Told him to F off.
Yeah,
That's
told him to
hilarious.
fuck off.
Oh,
Yeah.
Diesel says, how do you say aluminum? Aluminium.
Okay. Do you want to know why? Do you want to? I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about this.
Please.
All right. So, if you look at I don't know what they're called, the elements, right? Like
Periodic table.
strontium, potassium.
Sure.
It's IUM, right? And so what happened was, I believe they called it initially aluminum, not even aluminum. And so what Americans changed, so it was a weird thing because it's the people that decide what that is, they're Swedes. The Swedes are the ones that decide the names of these things. I don't know why. But if I remember correctly from when I read this. So originally it was going to be called aluminum. And then Americans changed it in, or something happened where it was aluminum.
Mhm.
Right.
And Brits were like, hang on a minute, you can't do that because it's not ending the way it should be. So they made it into aluminium.
Right.
Aluminium.
So
actually, it's our fault for changing it again. It was said one way, and Americans did it. You have to. Bill Bryson has it in his short history of everything. He explains that. I've probably just butchered it, but
Well, I heard a British
vitamins.
researcher online saying the Brits win this argument with the Americans because the British were the people that developed the way to extract aluminium from bauxite. So since you're the guys that gave us aluminum, the technique to get it, you win. You know.
that is true. But we didn't name it, so it was. I think it was meant to be aluminum. So
Well,
anyway,
the world may never know.
In classic American style, we just said, fuck that, man. That's aluminum.
aluminum.
Aluminium. What do you
vitamins.
think this is?
You say
I get people say
vitamins?
to me,
Vitamins or vitamins?
I say vitamins now, but I used to say vitamins. Yeah.
And,
And here's
how
the
was
thing: I say H as well. Like I'll say how or herb,
Oh, instead of herb?
because it's not.
We
spelled
say like
URB.
herbs and spices. He says
Herbs and spices. Herbs and spices, because it's
Right.
got a H in front of it. Herbs.
Yeah,
You
we
don't
just-
say
give me
air. You don't say this is air on your head. You say it's hair on your head.
It's air. Cut the air on your head.
I got me hair on my head, mate.
So how was it getting used to our system of measurement? You know, going from
It's
metric
still-
to
I still can't do it.
I love that we're just, as American, we're just holding on to inches and feet and all this stuff.
Oh, it's not even that.
None
It's
of it
not
makes
even
any
that.
sense.
Well, let me tell you this. This is the thing that pisses me off more than anything. I went and bought a 2x4.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's not 2x4.
No, they haven't been for decades. They're a little bit.
Yeah, but
smaller.
nobody told Matt. So when he was building something,
They're
That's
not.
how we-
They're like 1 and 7/8 by
so I'm like, why'd you call it a
3 and-
2x4? It's not a one. It's not a 2x4.
It used
Matt,
to
I
be.
know- I know.
you've been here long enough. You know how we do things.
I know a ton about
That's-
building.
We
I
don't
would-
give a fuck.
Right. I was a construction worker and I worked at Home Depot for 4 years in college. So I knew that about 2x4s. I learned that. But it is
But
a
I
surprise
do think
to a lot of
I do think you going to metric is it's a lot easier. I mean, it really is a
One
lot
thing is way
easier.
better in ours, though. In ours, your height sounds cooler. I would much rather tell people I'm 6'4" than 1.89 meters or whatever the hell I would be. You know, that's
Well,
it doesn't sound big, you know, like one.
you know what's funny? You know what's funny? This is absolutely true. So when I learned to dive in Europe, and they'd say, okay, well, you have to go down, 3 meters, do your safety stop, whatever it is. And I was like, I remember diving and going, yeah, well, I'm diving about like 30 meters. Doesn't sound that deep, right? 30 meters, 30, 10, 30, 20, 30. That's 100 feet. That's
Very far.
very deep.
Yes, it's very.
And I remember
Yeah.
coming here and going, okay, I better, because I'm diving, I've got to do it differently, because we do it in, like, over there they do it in what they call bars. The air pressure's in bars. Over here it's more like PSI. And then it was the calculating your depth and everything. I was like, oh, I was 100 feet down. Okay, that's really deep. That's not what I thought, because you think of 30 and it's nothing, but you don't really. It's a psychological thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like being 163 or 183 doesn't sound as good as being 6 feet 2 or
Right,
whatever it is.
right.
And what about how much is a stone?
Yeah,
That is
so
ridiculous.
if
That I
if-
don't know.
I looked it up once. I think a stone is like 19 point something pounds. I don't know how many kilograms it is, but I'm like 268. I'm down like 40 pounds from the summer, so it's good. But yeah, I'm like 269, 268 right now. So I don't know how many stones that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what stones is. I thought it was like 14
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
pounds to the stone. I don't know. I might be wrong.
And I've seen this British guy on Instagram where he talks about the differences and things that trip him out coming to America. And one of the things he mentioned, which is very true, is how we measure things in time. Not necessarily, like we'll say it's 100 miles away, but usually it's a 3-hour drive or
Right.
a 4-hour drive. It's 6 hours for it's 8 hours from here to where Gabe lives, where I am to where Gabe lives.
Right.
And that's kind of true. We measure things in time. And when you say it that way, like the measurements, when you're diving 30 meters, 2-hour drive. Yeah, that's not bad, even though it's like, 150 miles.
Well, because especially if you're going like across states where there's nobody, you got no traffic, and you realize you're driving a long way. Here's one of the other things that Americans do. They will refer to the north, south, east, and west side of the street. Still don't know. I'm like, I don't know what you see. They'll go, well, it's on the west side. I'll go, how do I know what the west side is? How do I know?
Sun.
Get
Look
a
for the
compass.
sun.
Yeah, but nobody does that in Europe.
Oh, because it's always
There's
cloudy.
no sun.
Yeah,
They don't
there's
do
no
that.
sun.
Or like if you're in California, you look for the mountains or the sea,
right.
right? So you know where the
Sea's
sea
always
is.
west.
It's always west.
Right.
Rises
So-
in the east and sets in the west.
Yep. So, but they don't do that in Europe. So people will say to me, yeah, he's on the north side of the road. I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't
if
know what
you're
that means.
like if you're calling 911 or something, and you're on the highway, it's like northbound, southbound, so like they're east or west. Yeah, that's true. I can see how that might be a little difficult. But here's the most important question I'm ever going to ask you in my entire life.
Oh, that's
Uh-oh.
big.
British cuisine. Here we go.
This is what we were talking about in the 40
This is what we're talking about. This
We
has started
set
the
up.
whole damn thing.
I
So
think- yeah, we'll end it here. We'll end it here.
as Americans, we look at British cuisine as fish and chips, bangers and mash,
Yeah.
shepherd's pie,
Yeah.
eel, and for some reason, beans and toast.
Yeah.
I still take that as a personal insult. But do we know the majority of British cuisine, or do you guys have some aces up your sleeve
No.
that we don't know about? Because Britain's it's not a culinary powerhouse. If you
No,
will.
it's not. Well, here's the thing. It's not like a culinary powerhouse, as in it doesn't have its own dishes. Oh, I mean, look, well, it does have its own dishes, but not that they're really, I don't know. Like, let's put it like this. When I very first came here, that
that's-
is impressive.
That's weird.
No, we don't like
What?
this. Me and
To an
George don't like
American,
this.
you stop at eggs and toast as an American.
fuck?
Everything
What?
else on that plate,
Pile of tomatoes for
Everything-
breakfast? Why would I do
eggs
that?
and toast, everything else on that plate goes in the receptacle.
And you want black pudding as well.
Right, see,
What?
now,
Oh,
hold
whoa!
on.
We can't say. Whoa! Black pudding. Wait a minute. What is
That's-
that?
It's,
It's pig's blood
Oh,
yeah.
wait
in a
minute. What's-
sausage.
Blood
That's-
sausage is what
Blood
you're saying.
sausage.
That's
yeah,
so
it's called. They
gross.
call it
That
black.
That is
So,
nasty.
so we do have. I'll tell you what's great.
Sounds like a porno genre.
Yeah, you want black pudding?
Black pudding, girl.
Bow,
Oh,
bow,
yeah.
bow, bow. No,
Mm.
so one thing I did notice when I first came here, like you can go to what they call a greasy spoon here,
Yeah.
like and it'll be good food. Like you'll get pretty decent food there. It's not the case in the UK. You go to a local calf and it would be horrible.
Really?
And I remember like my here we
Eat your
go.
mushy peas with eels on it.
Yeah,
Eat
mushy
up, love.
peas. Don't like that.
So
So
a mole with hair coming out of it.
yeah,
You can't
more,
mosh 8
more.
days.
Just eat around the hair, love.
So I remember there's a place down on Wilshire Boulevard, and it was the first place I went for breakfast when I came to California, in Santa Monica. And I went in, this is no joke. It was a deli because I'd flown in and I was all messed up, you know. So my times, I was waking up at crazy times. And so I walk in, I'll never forget it. I said, I can have your that an English breakfast. So I was like, I'll have an English breakfast, because I was kind of like, it was almost like a dinner for me. You know what I mean? Like the time schedule was all over. And I went, they went, what kind of bread would you like? And I went, because in England there was 2 choices, brown and white. And that was it. And I was like, so what are the choices? And she was like, sourdough, rye, wheat. And I went, second one. And then the other things she did, she goes, so how would you like your eggs? Because again, it's like scrambled, fried, or boiled in England. That's it. And she's like, well, sunny side up, over easy. And I went, oh, second one. Because I didn't know. I had no idea what it was and just prayed for it. So what I'm saying is the base level here in America, for the most part, is excellent. And the base level over there is terrible. Like really, really like inedible, horrible. Coffee's like sludge. Just horrible stuff. But over the past 20 years, or actually before that, like, because I've been here 23 years. So before that, London became the culinary capital of Europe.
Ooh.
Because think about it. Name a famous chef.
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Right?
You go to
Or
Las Vegas.
Jamie
there's about
Oliver.
10 restaurants in Las Vegas.
Yeah, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
And so what happened was there was this like resurgence of food especially in London, but in the UK. And so they had all these Michelin star chefs. So the food scene is actually amazing. But what I will give you is this. England makes great pies. So if you have like you guys won't like this, but a steak and kidney pie.
I'm sorry, what?
Steak and kidney.
Like steak?
You lost me
Okay.
a kidney.
You got me a
Well,
steak, but what does the kidney taste like?
It's great. You have
Is it
to
like
try it.
liver? Like it tastes like
Here we
blood?
go. Here's what you got to do. You guys, especially you, Gabe, you can. Jericho, you're in LA, right? Are you in LA?
No, I'm up near Sacramento. I'm
Are you in
6
Sacramento?
hours at least from LA.
So you guys can go to a British. You can get a steak and kidney British pie, and you should eat it on the show.
Where can we get one? In LA?
You can. I mean, you can get British food anywhere, but you can look it up and put British steak and kidney pie. So there's like the Guinness and ale pie, or ale
Guinness
pie,
and
or
ale,
Guinness. Sorry, I'm tired.
They said Guinness snail. I was like,
Nearly
"Whoa, what the
no,
fuck?"
yeah, Guinness and snails. No, it's midnight here now. So Guinness pie, ale pie, chicken and mushroom pie, steak and kidney pie, which is amazing. And actually, liver and onions is something as well that Brits eat, and it is amazing. It is amazing.
No wonder you people are so tough. You're mad at all this food you have to eat.
My dad was a world-class chef. So it wasn't the quality or how it was made, but every Wednesday until I was 14 years old, we had liver and onions for dinner. And that shit was horrible. There was one guarantee in my childhood. We're going to have liver and onions on Wednesday, and I'm going to end up finishing my liver and onions for breakfast on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do it. That shit was like eating a Band-Aid. And do you guys have fruit pies? In America, pie has fruit in it.
Yeah.
But meat pies are unheard of. Unheard of.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we do have a shepherd's pie that's usually ground up like hamburger, minced meat.
Yeah.
But
peas and carrots, gravy, and then mashed potatoes on top. That's what.
But if you say, let's go get some pie in America, meat pie is not in your mind.
No.
Like
But
you're
what's
thinking
weird
apple
is
pie.
that can mean pizza as well.
That's
But
more
you have to be
slang.
from a
We say
certain
pizza
area.
pie. Pizza
If
pie,
you're like
what
in
we
New
call
York, hey, let's go get a fucking pie over here. That's regional. If you're out in California and say get a pie,
It
I'm
means
thinking
like
It means
Apple
blueberry.
pie, cherry
It means
pie.
blueberry,
Yeah.
cherry, you know. So
Like, but if you say you want pizza, it's just pizza or a slice. You might go as far as say
Yeah,
a slice.
go and get a slice.
don't
But
say
you should
soft.
try that. Honestly, try the steak and kidney pie and try it on air. You should cook it and
Okay.
both eat it at the same time.
Let's see.
I'm telling you.
Hell
found-
no,
I
Mr.
have found the
Marsden.
Shakespeare
Hell no.
Pub. Shakespeare Pub had 5 out of 5 stars. San Diego's best British restaurant. So here it is: steak and kidney pot pie. Pretty
Oh,
pricey.
that'll be good.
20. Okay, I'll get one. I'll get one and eat it on the air. You come back, I'll eat it on the air.
Shit.
All right, it's good.
That
It's
sounds
good.
horrible.
Sounds
No,
terrible.
no. It's going to be really good. I'm telling you,
It
it's going to
says
be really.
prime lean
gonna be
beef and
delicious.
lamb kidney.
Hell no.
Red wine sauce, buttered puff pastry crust.
That's very fancy though, but it'll be very good.
All I'm hearing
And the
is,
hot pot's good as well. Hot pot is very good
what's
down
that?
there as well. It's like a stew.
Northwestern British favorite: tender, lean, cubed beef, onions, carrots cooked in a hearty stew, topped with scalloped potatoes, topped with cheddar cheese. That sounds fucking delicious.
It's amazing. And the funny thing is one of the one of the characters on the television show that I was on was famous for her hot pot. It's called
yeah, I
Betty's
bet
Hot
she
Pot.
was when you
Oh,
were
I bet
hitting
you
on
would.
it.
Everybody got a taste of that hot pie.
When you were smashing her when her mechanic husband was gone. What-
Yeah,
what
because you were
a dumb-
consoling her. You were
It's
holding
all right,
her.
love. Come
Look,
here, Matthew.
I see it as doing a service.
You know,
Yeah.
put your head in my lap, won't you? Hey, oh.
Oh, was he mean to you? You know what I had?
Yeah.
There's another one. It's like a Irish pub, not far from my house at all. I happened to drive by with my wife one night and stop, and we had Irish soda bread, and it's homemade. They make it. I've never had this before.
Did you like it or not?
I loved it, and they
Really?
had real like Irish butter that they like made
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like
shit
cherry
there.
gold.
These
kinda
are like
shit.
real. Like they made it. These are like real Irish people, I guess. The soda bread is like a brick. It's so heavy
It's
and thick.
very dense.
Delicious. And then they had this butter that they made that was like from Ireland or England or something, and they sprinkled it with some sea salt. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I
Ridiculous.
can't.
Yeah, but that's peasants' food. That is soda bread
Delicious,
is peasants'
though.
food. Yeah.
I can't
Delicious.
trust either one of your food recommendations.
Or all right, go for a third option, which is really the British national dish is a curry.
We have good Indian food here in San Diego. We do.
But I'm on the more mild end of curry.
Me
Like none
too.
of that strong, crazy
Yeah,
shit.
I can't be doing that. I don't think
But-
when they sit there and they're sweating and they're my cousins love it. They're like, oh, vindaloo, I'm gonna eat madras, I'm gonna eat it. And I'm like, no, thank you.
No,
All it tastes to me is like fire. Like I don't like it.
it's not enjoyable. A little spice, yes. But flaming, like sweating and nose running, and no, man, that's fucking disgusting. No.
Okay.
Now-
So you come back, I'll eat some weird British thing, but you have to eat something you think Americans eat that's really weird.
Yeah, is there some weird American food?
There's something
that-
we do that doesn't
I've
make
eaten
any
it
sense.
all. I've eaten it all. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've done it all. You know, I've eaten bison. I've alligator.
I guess if you'll eat kidney pie, you'll eat anything.
Yeah,
huh?
it's like anything's on the menu.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Some of that black pudding. I think I'll eat some of that.
Ugh. Ugh.
That done
That
right
sounds
is
good.
very good.
Now,
sounds good.
religiously, we're not supposed to be eating blood, though. How do they square that with the Catholic and the Protestants and all that? Because you're not supposed to eat blood.
I
There's a
don't know.
rule for that.
The Bible literally says not to ever eat blood because life is in the blood. It says that in the book of Leviticus. Yes.
Oh,
I think that maybe it's about live blood rather than
cooked.
cooked.
You have to bite someone like a vampire and suck their blood or something.
No biting people and drinking their blood. That's
Because back then, they wouldn't have cooked it right and go, oh, I'm gonna. Maybe they would have. I don't know.
I have no idea. Blood.
Yeah.
I was just raised like my father's Muslim, and then on my mom's side we're Christian, so it was like no blood. You know what I mean? Especially with my dad being Muslim, there's no blood allowed to be eaten. So
All right, Matt. Last question here from me.
All right.
What's your favorite food? Like you could eat it every day. Done right, it's your favorite.
Sushi.
what kind? Well, you have to pick one flavor of it, one style.
Like
Or it would be Toro.
Okay.
what is that?
Fat. It's like
Fat tuna.
fat tuna. It's ridiculous.
Oh, just melt in your mouth.
So I've had that. at one of the best restaurants in the world, and it was just like exactly what it should be, you know.
Like if you lived close to it, you would go.
Oh, I'd never get sick of it. Like never.
But you would
ever
go
get sick.
regularly
Yeah.
if you lived close to that place.
Yeah. When I was in London, when I was doing my music with, when I was signed to Sony, across the street from Sony was a place called Yo Sushi, and I went there every day.
Wow.
Damn.
Every day. Yeah.
So me
And
and
then-
Matthew, we like the chunky peanut butter. We leave Jericho out, but Matthew, you and Jericho like fish and seafood. I will not touch it.
Love it.
So now you guys are brothers that way. I can't do
Delicious.
fish. No sushi for me. So sorry.
Oh, that's wonderful. I bet you hit some good barbecue places being in Texas.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've hit some terrific barbecue places. I mean, I'm trying to do my own as well. I've got a Traeger, so I did get to, which is kind of like cheating. It's like a complete cheat sheet because all you
Not
got
if
to do is
everybody's
like,
doing it.
yeah. Well, I just figured that, you know, I had a green egg for a while and I'd always cremate everything because I'd like start it, especially on a Sunday. You start it off in the morning and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go off to church. And when I come back, it's like this, like a brick. So just like a, so I was like, you know, I'm not going to be doing this. I can't sit there all day and like be moving the airflow and all that. I just don't have the patience. So my wife actually bought me a Traeger because she knows that I would never buy something like that for myself. I don't like buying myself stuff. So she bought me one and it's absolutely brilliant, to be honest. You just you got to work on your rubs and everything. But then you put the probe in.
That's it.
That sounds terrible, doesn't it? You got to work on
Yeah.
your rubs and then you got to put your probe in.
But
Yeah,
that's true.
it is true in both scenarios.
If your
It's
rub's
true.
not good,
Right.
you're not getting the
Screw the
probe.
whole thing up if the rub is bad, man.
Yeah, it's not going
You
to
gotta
work.
warm
Is
them
it?
up. They're not
You
like
don't be
us.
getting
You
your
gotta,
probe in it.
you gotta rub them good to get
Casey
that probe in
Suba,
there.
Casey Suba has a nice comment for you. Matthew, I saw your acting reel and you did a great American accent in one of the clips I saw. You explained to us last time you were here that going from theater to television to movies, the British style of learning to act is why you guys do way better accents than we do, and you sing in American English. What is your favorite American accent to do? Is it like a crazy New Yorker or a Southerner, or like, do you have a one that's really funny to you or fun?
Well, I did a Boston accent, a Southie accent for
Really?
a
That's
thing
a
I
tough
did.
one.
Yeah, and I loved it. It was really good to do. It was very expressive. So I enjoyed that. Yeah.
So
But I
can,
like-
can you still
and-
speak it, or would you need to practice?
I'd have to practice, I think. But I mean, I remember the opening was like, I was born in Boston, St. Anne Hospital. Like just stuff like that. It was just a little speech I did. I can't remember all of it. But the I like doing it's been if I can be I like to be specific when I do accents. So, you know, like Southie was good for me because I could put it in a particular region, I could listen to people, I could copy it. But when people say, you know, oh, can you do a Southern accent? I'm like, which
Many of
one?
them.
Which
Yeah.
one? And so I don't like to be disrespectful to the States and just go, okay, I'm just going to do a generic like accent because, you know, you hear some people, it goes all over the place. You know, it goes Tennessee. So, for example, like Peaky Blinders is where I'm from. And I hear some of the accents on that and I'm like, now to everyone else, it might sound great, but to someone who's from there, no.
Yeah, to
I mean,
us it sounds great. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, a lot of them are bang on, but not all of them. Yeah.
All right.
Well, sir.
We learned a lot tonight. Kept you up late. It was fantastic, dude. Come back. You're welcome all the time, man.
Well,
It's just
thank you.
awesome. Your acting stuff, your views on religion and family, the fact you love crunchy peanut butter, you know, it's just awesome. You
No,
know?
that's not cool.
That was an attack on you, Jericho, by the way.
I know it was, and
It's
that's how I
about-
took it.
It's not even being passive aggressive. I
No.
do want to say that, like I said, I did type in my phone. I'm very anal about doing things. No, stop. Dude, stop.
It's not that kind of show, man.
I can't
Super
even. I
anal.
can't go there. I am super. I was going to say this earlier on. Can you imagine if you came back,
anal.
Jericho, if you came back and it was AI and you were like, "Hi, my name's Jericho." And yeah, I was in the Navy.
Oh, hello.
Baby.
You know,
Hi, grandkids. It's your grandpa.
hi. It's the grandpa.
No, you'd be their grand them or something. you
Yeah.
know?
Oh no, don't sit there. Sit right here on my lap, sweetie.
Oh my gosh.
Gross.
So but I did. I can't say it now, can I? I'm always early. I'm always early. And when I came on, I was like, they're on. So that was totally on my thing. I gotta sort that out. So
Me and Jericho have no problem talking, especially
we hold grudges, Matthew. We will never forgive you for that.
right.
And but you know what, man? This is great. I love the insight you gave us on the behind the scenes of the movies you were on.
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome, man. Because most people don't get to sit down with a bona fide, movie star. So this is wonderful.
Yeah,
but
thank you.
But next time,
it's humbling, dude. Thank you.
And not only that, but your family and all that stuff. The time you're taking away from them, but next time I do want to get a little more into the music and that whole experience of being a pop star. That's a whole different animal. That's a whole nother beast on its own. And I can't wait to hear about it, man. That's
guys, there are still 108 of you watching on at least YouTube.
Wow.
Guys, thank you. We had a huge crowd tonight. Everyone who's watching, hit the like and the share. But that link you see at the bottom, that is Matthew's YouTube channel. If you love Matthew tonight, how could you not? He's a great dude. He's intelligent, and he's so experienced, has a crazy life of all this great stuff and good morals. He's just a good man as far as I can see, just knowing him the little bit I do these last few months. Please subscribe right now. It's one click to do it. All of you subscribe, please.
And don't hold the whole kidney pie thing against it. All right?
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
I think that's that British humor.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on there. I really, really appreciate you both. So and everyone on there. So thank you.
Our pleasure, man. Our pleasure.
All right. All the links in the description, guys. We'll see you next week. It might be Rambo. I don't know what the hell. It might be Rambo 3 we wanted to get to. Could be The Running Man, which is an awful movie. We want to do that.
Oh, Mr. Freeze.
Horrible. No, he used to be Sub-Zero. Now
Sub-Zero.
Plain Zero. That's the worst line ever.
Sub-Zero. What am I talking? I'm off on my movie. I need to get a bed. I'm off on my movie clothes.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Bye.